This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to Tswalu Kalahari Reserve. A very warm welcome to everybody, and what a sight we have this afternoon to start things off. Beautiful mother and two, busy relaxing under the bush. A very warm welcome to everybody. My name is Carl, behind camera is Owen, and thank you very much for joining us on this live and interactive safari here at Tswalu. What a fantastic afternoon it is, and how to start things off couldn't be better. So they're busy relaxing underneath the shade, which is fantastic. It is a fairly warm afternoon. So, other guides will be looking for leopard, other guides will be looking for elephant, and what a beautiful afternoon. Welcome to your very own live safari in the African wild. Well, it couldn't start off better. We heard about this lovely little group relaxing in this area, and we thought, why not? Why not come spend the afternoon with mother and two, looking very relaxed under the blackthorn, obviously perfect shade for these individuals, and a fairly warm afternoon. So once again, welcome. My name is Kyle, and Owen is obviously making this all happen, making it look as good as it is. And what a way to look at something but by viewing it from a live safari vehicle. But this mother is just relaxing with her two sub-adults and looking fairly chilled at this point in time. A fairly warm day today, 34 degrees. Well, that would be 93 degrees Fahrenheit, and you can hear the cicadas are calling in a very constant medium. Very sure sign that it is fairly warm this afternoon. And our plan of action for this lovely afternoon would be to stick with these cats, and hopefully along the lines they get up to some tricky business, and hopefully we can be in the right place, right time to see something unfold. But what a privilege it is. Please, if you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to let us know. There'll be kids questions for all our young Earth Rangers out there. Kids questions at wildearth.tv. Anything you want to know, drop me a message. And for everybody else, it'll be #WildEarth or just at FC. And don't forget to check out that amazing new initiative, wildearth.tv/explorers, for all that new adventure-seeking platform for everybody. Eyes just slowly closing. Let's send you over to Dan, where he has somebody who shouldn't be out of the water. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to And Beyond Ngala. And we kind of came to a watering hole, looking in the water and looking around the watering hole to see if we couldn't find anything interesting. But we looked to our right-hand side and an incredibly strange sighting appeared. It's a hippo that's out of water, which is very, very strange, particularly on an incredibly hot day like today. It's about 35 degrees or so. But welcome, everybody. My name is Dan. I hope you're all doing well. On the camera this afternoon, we've got BK. And super strange. I mean, this is a really good place to start, and one of the warmest days we've had in a couple of weeks. At a watering hole, maybe a herd of elephants were coming down, and just to see any other general game that might have been coming down, or some interesting birds. But very interesting to see a hippo that's out of the water, quite like this, and it looks like quite a big hippo. He is in the shade, which is good. I mean, one of the reasons that the hippos are in the water during the day is that they've got incredibly sensitive skin to the sun. I wonder if he hasn't been in maybe a mud wallow for the rest of the day. But my guess as to why he's out of the water BK says he's just lost him. We're going to have to try and find him again. It's amazing, such a big animal will disappear. A little bit too... You want to move a bit forward here, BK? But what I reckon this hippo has actually happened here. Let's move forward a little bit. And I wonder, just judging by its size, I would say it's a male. And there are already quite a few hippos that are in the watering hole on our left-hand side. And I wonder if he hasn't been chased away and maybe been kicked out of this watering hole. Okay, so maybe we just look at the other hippos in the water until we find this one for now. So we're going to try and find this hippo. He's kind of gone behind a bush and he's being very tricky. And we're not actually trying to try and get too close because we might spook him away. And he's completely out of his comfort zone. Oh, got him. So I'm going to try and see if we can find, looks like he might have found it. But I'm going to send you over to Taylor at Pridelands with some other creatures in the water.
We do indeed. This is where the hippo should be, but instead we have got two buffalo bulls that are not quite happy with us at the moment. But thankfully, we are at a safe distance all the way over here. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Sebastian Romby, and we are here at Pridelands Conservancy, which is a part of Baluli Game Reserve as well as the Greater Kruger Park. Like I said, those two buffalo were not particularly impressed. We did surprise them when we came round the corner out of the drainage system from a leopard dam, and then they settled down a bit, and then they were not so happy. But it's the bull that's on the right-hand side. And we can just sort of see him. He's disappearing behind the termite mound now. He's on edge. So I believe that earlier today, between the game drives, there was a male leopard that moved through and around past Leopard Dam. Some of the eco-training instructors and students saw him very briefly, so that's why we've come here. And now he's settling down, obviously, because he's rolling around in the water, just trying to keep himself nice and cool. So maybe that's why he's a little bit nervous as well. Or the other thing is that perhaps I drove through some leopard or lion scat, and it's on my tyres. Yes, buddy, we're talking about you. But something that sort of jumps to my mind when I do see him, though, other than the fact that we know he's in the water to stay nice and cool, is I don't know if you noticed, his horns, his boss, the big section in the front, is red in comparison to the other males. So something that we do see, especially around here in the drainage systems, is buffalo, not just the bulls, but also the females, they'll often scrape their heads up on trees. Now, it can be quite difficult to guess as to which tree this buffalo has rubbed his horns on, because lots of different tree species have got a red cambium layer. So not the outside hard grey bark or brown bark that you normally see, the softer layer where nutrients are transported just underneath that. Maruda trees, bush willows, they also all have a red cambium layer. But I think what he's probably done is, in this area there are lots of Tomboti trees. And for those of you that have never seen a Tomboti tree, and if you are in South Africa or you're a South African, it's a good one to know, because it is a poisonous tree. And unfortunately, if you throw the wood on the fire, which often people do, well, you're not going to be very well. I don't think it's necessarily going to kill you unless you sit there inhaling hefty amounts of smoke, but it's definitely going to make you feel unwell, and you'll probably get quite an upset stomach too. But that's not what the buffalo's done. That because of that milky latex and that poison, he's quite clever, in fact. So he's utilizing those toxins and those poisons, and you can see often around the edge of the buffalo's horns you'll get lots of parasites building up there, so lots of ticks in particular. It's quite a difficult spot to sort of reach, so the ticks will go there and they'll have a longer chance of being able to suck blood from their victim. And that'll hopefully act as a deterrent, as an insect repellent, to stop those ticks sort of building up just between the skin and the horns. Yes, get back down. Everything is okay. You see. But very typical behavior of buffalo bulls to be so nervous. Paul, thank you so much for your question. I know it doesn't look like these buffalo would be capable of swimming, but they can indeed. This is quite shallow. There is some sections that are quite deep in the Leopard Dam, which they will be able to cross. And when I was, quite a couple of years ago, I was really fortunate to be up in the Masai Mara and the Mara Triangle with Wild Earth. And quite a few times we actually saw, I think it was cul-de-sac crossing, one of the famous crossing sites there. I was able to witness buffalo bulls in particular swimming across shorter sections of the Mara River and making it safely to the other side so they can swim. There's very few animals that can't swim. I've never seen a warthog swimming before. It'd be quite interesting to see if they can. I know that pigs can swim. I'm just not sure of warthog, but one animal that we do see around here is a rhino. They can't swim, unfortunately. They're just built completely incorrectly. All the weight is in their neck and their shoulders, and they can't lift their heads up very well. But look who else has joined us just in front. It's one of our collared elephant bulls that we see, and it looks like it is Dex. Hello, boy. Are you still in must? Yes. So Dex is an elephant bull, like I said. He was collared by an NGO called Elephants Alive, and they follow his movements and all sorts of things, and they get invaluable information about him. Now, we're going to keep our distance from him because you've already heard me mention must. For those of you that don't know, must is essentially that, like, the arousal sexual phase that sexually mature elephant bulls go through. And it's not that they can't mate when they're outside of must, but this sort of really drives them to go out and search for females. So he'll probably move a lot further in search of cows that are in estrus. You can see that buffalo getting straight up because Dex is heading straight towards him. Now, when they are in must, they are quite boisterous and just less tolerant of things around them. So it wouldn't surprise me if he does try to chase that buffalo bull. But how cool is that? Hey, two of Africa's giants standing next to one another, and you can really see how Dex dwarfs those buffalo. And buffalo are intimidating creatures too. They're quite enormous. A whole 800 kilograms, maybe just less than that. And Dex probably weighs coming into about 5 tons. He's not a particularly big elephant just yet. He's still got a lot of growing to do. He's one of the younger bulls. If I'm not mistaken, he's in his late 20s. Look at him. Hello, boy. And when I was with students with eco training not so long ago, he was giving them, well, some of them their first experience of a must elephant bull. And you should always give them space. So I know we often sit and we stand up to these younger bulls that cause trouble around the cars. But with must bulls, I like to keep my distance, because if anything is going to happen and they're going to, behave like they normally don't behave, it's going to happen when they're in must. Like I said, they're just less tolerant of everyone around them. And he's got some nice staining of urine, and I can smell him from here between his back legs. So luckily he's going the other way, so we'll just let him enjoy his afternoon. Yes, you're lucky, buffalo, that you didn't get chased out of your spot. But I'm sure there'll be more and more elephants that come on through towards Leopard Dam this afternoon. Now, it's just ridiculous. I've never met anyone in my entire life that is able to find leopards like Tristan Dixon. You won't believe it. He's pulled the cat out of the hat. He's done it again.
Right, so hopefully you can hear me now. There's just a slight little mic issue, but it's the best way to basically start a game drive. As you can see, we've got Kuchava and the cub in front of me there, and on my right-hand side we have Tundi. But before we get to her, my name is Tristan. On camera I have got Theo, and what an epic way to start a game drive. So Tundi is lying here. You can see she's not far away at all. She's literally on my right-hand side, and then having a bit of a nap, and about, I don't know, what is it? 15 meters, 20 meters is where Kuchava is lying with the little boy. And it's interesting to see that he is close to mom right now and that Tundi is here. They don't look too aggressive with one another. Maybe they've gotten to the point where they've realized who's who, and they're no longer really going to fight anymore. I don't see much salivation taking place from either female. They both look
really quite chilled about life at this stage. I mean, I wouldn't expect Kuchava normally to be lying on a road like this if it wasn't for the fact that Tandi's around. But I suppose the little cub has got confidence from mom to kind of just lie behind her and make sure that she just stays, or he just stays in the background. But really interesting sighting, that's for sure. We also have a massive herd of elephants that's not very far away that could add a little bit of spice to what's already a spicy situation with these three cats. Obviously, the afternoon will kind of let us know what's going to happen, but it's going to be crazy. The problem is we're not going to be able to stay with them all afternoon because we're on Chitwa, and that means there's going to be quite a few vehicles that are going to want to come through this. So we're going to have to just try and kind of get in and out and sort of balance it out as much as we can just to try and stay in the sighting. But it's going to be a tense afternoon, I think, in some respects. Although it doesn't look like it now. It looks like, Tandi's not too worried about it. Kuchava is going to move now, which might get Tandi awake. Let's see. Beautiful cats, though, all three of them. Little family dispute at this stage. She's just decided to reposition a little bit. You see, what's interesting is she could have sneaked away there because Tandi was not watching at all. Tandi hasn't even lifted her head. She's fast asleep. And so she could have actually potentially just sneaked off, and Tandi might not have known. She's not paying attention right now. She kind of is sitting and just taking it easy and having a bit of a rest. So I don't know if maybe Kuchava is thinking about just kind of moving off and leaving Tandi here. But for now, everybody is fairly stationary, which is odd because normally by this time of the day, they should have separated. Also, we've moved quite a long way from where we were to kind of finish the drive. We're back more where we started with the Tandi Kuchava incident, or kind of meeting up this morning. So we've come a lot further south again from where we were, which is interesting. I would have thought at one point one of them would have given way and kind of moved off and decided to kind of give way to one another. Right, we're going to sit here, we're going to see how it goes. Well, I'm sure there's going to be some sort of drama that will unfold. Like I say, we've got Ellie's, we've got the three leopards, so it promises to be a really spectacular afternoon. In the meantime, though, talking about Ellie's, let's send you across to Trish.
Oh yes, it is bound to happen with three leopards together. What a sight, all three of them. Well, I think we've gotten off to an excellent start here today. Elephants all round and those three leopards. A lovely Ellie bull coming to drink here at Buffelshoek Dam and have a bit of a splash about and a bit of a mud bath. It was really, really awesome. So that's what we're going to do today. I want to look for elephants. And who am I? I'm Trishala, and I have Johan on camera with me this afternoon on Djuma Game Reserve. And it is very warm, as I'm sure Tristan has told you. 35 degrees Celsius, 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And it was even hotter during the day. Seriously, seriously hot. So I'm glad for this temperature. And there's a nice breeze blowing too. So there's been tracks of elephants all around the reserve and going into Torchwood, going into Buffelshoek and into Djuma as well. And there's been reports of lots of herds too. And I'm definitely deprived of elephant sightings. I've just seen one or two here and there. So I want to really spend time at the dams and find as many elephants as I can. But Tristan has found an elephant also, believe it or not, approaching him at his leopard sighting.
There are lots, and there's a bull Ellie that's just slowly coming up the hill towards us. I can hear him feeding, and we had a brief view of him kind of crossing behind Kuchava's little boy. It's literally behind a bush at the moment, so I just want to see which way the Ellie goes. Normally what you'll find, those leopards are not too fussed by elephants, and elephants are not too fussed by leopards. But because there's 3 of them here, you never know, it might cause a little stir. I can just see the elephant's trunk. Basically, from where those 2 leopards are, to the right, there's a kind of bush. And it's straight behind that bush. You wouldn't think there's an elephant there, but I can promise you right now that there is. And a fairly sizable individual at that. You might just see a movement of the tail behind there. And so I just want to see if that Ellie turns and comes up our way, whether or not it might disturb all 3 of these cats. Like I say, generally they're not worried, but maybe if 3 cats kind of move at once, the Ellie might get a little bit frustrated and might vocalize, which will attract the rest of the herd, which is what we saw on the way here, which is a fairly sizable grouping. There's probably about at least 30 elephants that are not too far away. So you never know if this guy starts to make a bit of a ruckus because of the leopards that everybody else runs in this direction. It's a really weird thing about Ellies is that they obviously have to be very careful of lions. That's something that is a very big threat to their offspring, and so they typically are quite aggressive in their response to the scent of lions and the sight of lions. But leopards, on the other hand, they don't really care too much. I've seen leopards walk right past herds of elephants very, very visually, where the elephants can noticeably see that leopard, and the ellies don't really do anything. But in the same breath, I've also seen leopards kind of approach elephants and not really worry too. It's interests me because then you get something like wild dogs, and wild dogs are a different kettle of fish altogether. Elephants absolutely despise them, and yet they don't really they're not really a huge threat to elephants. Dogs, even though they've been packs, there's very seldom that a dog is going to try go after an ellie, but I think it's the kind of frantic movement of the dogs that riles the ellies up so heavily, whereas leopards, they just kind of sneak along and they amble, and it's more sort of gentle pace, which I think the elephants respond better to. They respond to that kind of slower movement of these cats than the erratic running of what the dogs do. It's typical that this elephant has stopped behind the bush. It was walking fairly steadily towards this area, and then all of a sudden has obviously found himself a nice little bit of grass. Now, what was noticeable about that elephant is he's obviously come from Chitwa Dam, as have all of the other ellies that we have seen on our journey to these leopards, because all of them are almost jet black from swimming. So, sorry, I'm listening to Thandi coughing at the moment and sneezing. What are you doing, girl? Obviously got something up her nose that's tickling her nose, maybe a blade of grass, because she keeps like, watch her, maybe keep quiet, maybe you can hear her. No, she's stopped now. I think she must have had a little grass blade tickling her nose. Were you getting tickled on the nose? Hello, girl. I'm amazed, though, at how the little boy is here. I wouldn't think he would have approached his mom with Thandi being close by. I would have thought he was going to not come anywhere near this situation. But maybe he just feels like mom is around. She's going to protect me, and so I'd rather be close to mom than far away. I don't know. It's a weird thing. That he's here. Here comes the ellie now. It's come right out into the open. It's crazy. 3 leopards and an elephant within, 20 meters of each other, basically, in a triangle. It's a ridiculous start to the afternoon, that's for sure. He doesn't look too phased, does he? He's just waffling down all kinds of little shrubs at the moment, and is looking rather happy with life. He seems to be chomping away at all kinds of things. It's interesting at this time of the year, obviously their diet is changing heavily towards the grasses now, especially because the grasses are starting to seed. So I'll try and get a blade of grass for you and show you what I mean. Luckily I had a nice long grass stalk next to me, but if you have a look here, you'll see that these grasses are producing their inflorescence, and so they've got this seed that is on top, and this is going to be what they like. They enjoy eating this, and so as soon as it gets to this time of the year, they start to focus more and more on grass. And what they essentially do is they take big swathes of grass, they wrap their trunk around it, pull, and essentially you'll get what I have here. So if you look at the totality of what I've gotten, it's a very long piece of grass. So if I show you there, it's very, very long, but this part here is really just taking up space. It's not really nutritious, and it's not worth the energy to eat it. And so a lot of the time what you'll find is an elephant will put this in their mouth, and they'll use it like almost, so if you can imagine I'm an elephant, they'll go like this, and they'll eat it, and they essentially will just break off this piece and swallow that, and this will just drop to the ground. So often when you're tracking ellies, you can find where they've walked just based off the stalks rather than their footprints, and this part will be missing, and the stalks will just be lying on the ground itself. In winter, it's the opposite way around. We find that the tops of the grass is generally lying down, and the root structure is missing completely. So clever little ellies. They're all moving off there. I can see a whole bunch of young ones now and everything that's moving kind of northward, so our leopards are not in danger of being chased. This elephant walked 10 meters too far that way. Bless you, Thandi. What's wrong, girl? You've got the sneezes today. I suppose grass in the nose is ticklish at the best of times, that's for sure. Why are you grumbling? Are you not tired of grumbling, Thandi? You've been grumbling all morning. Here he comes now. Let's see what he does. No, leave us alone, because otherwise you're going to chase these leopards. He's coming straight back towards where Thandi is more than the other two. Look at Kachava and the cub. So she's moving. The little cub has got his head down. I'm actually not sure which ones we're going to follow if they split. No, leave them alone, elephant. Don't chase them. There he goes. The little boy is going to back off and run towards where Mom is. Naughty. You can see Kuchav is not impressed by all of this. Between the heat, this elephant, her cub, and Thandi, it's a testing. You can hear her. She's unhappy. It's a testing day for her. She's trying to deal with all of this, which is not easy at all as a mother. Shame that little boy is being told off. Okay, now don't come chase Thandi as well. See how this elephant is sniffing where they were lying? Look. It's exactly where the little male was lying. And let's see if he comes round to where the female was. Look at that. Isn't that interesting? So he's trying to pick up, okay, what was lying here? I saw it running away from me. It's not there anymore. Right? They've left. And don't start with me now, because I won't tolerate your nonsense. Off you go. You've made your point. You've shown how big you are. Back to your herd. Leave Thandi alone now. Now you can see, you can smell Thandi. Look at this. So there's the Ellie, and Thandi's on the other side of the bush. She's got maximum chill, doesn't she? She's like, whatever, you can feed her as close as you want to me. I'm not going anywhere. That's ridiculous. Unlike Kuchava and the cub, who you could see the differences here, is that she's got a tree between her and the elephant, whereas Kuchava and the cub didn't have that option, so they had to give way, and rightly so. You saw what that elephant did when he got closer. He kind of went onto his haunches and he slammed into that tree, whereas here, Thandi's got the ability. I mean, that's ridiculous. They're within a meter or so of each other now. She's so sneaky. What are you doing, girl? She's like, what? I've done this for many years. I don't need to worry about an elephant. It's not my first rodeo. Amazing. That was super cool. I really enjoyed that. She just didn't care at all. She's like, whatever, you can do what you want. I'm going to just sit right here and show you that I'm not scared of you. Also, she knows that she had tree between her, and that's why she's a lot more brazen. If there was nothing between her and that elephant, she would have also been running. But very, very cool to witness. All right, I think I'm going to move towards where Kuchava and the Kaba are just to see if they've disappeared or not. See where they go to. Hopefully they won't go too far.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... Oh. That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily. An ever-increasing part of the global population is losing its connection with nature. Wild Earth is here to reduce people's stress and anxiety, allowing you to escape into nature even just for a few hours a day. However, Wild Earth is expensive to run, and we need help from you to keep this ship going. Wild Earth Explorers gives you the opportunity to be part of a program that supports the sharing of nature with the world.
This is Rusty. He's my favorite vehicle, and we've been through all the good times here in the bush. Now, if you feel a connection to Djuma Game Reserve like I do, then we have a fantastic opportunity for you. You can have your name engraved on a brushed metal plaque just like this one, and we will attach it to Rusty so you can always be with us on safari in spirit. We will even send you a digital photograph once your plaque is mounted on Rusty. Spaces are limited, so grab your spot now.
Join us around the fire as we have our very first Wild Earth Explorers Fireside Chat.
And what that means is that if you are an explorer, we're inviting you to come and join us so we can chat about the greatest highlights of 2020.
We will be chatting about our favorite characters and what they have been up to during the course of this year.
And if you would like to join us, head over to our Explorers page and subscribe. Don't miss out. This Fireside Chat will be on the 13th of December at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time, straight after Sunset Safari.
Welcome back to and Beyond Ngala, everybody, and it seems like it's been an elephant-full afternoon so far. I think it's the heat of the day. I mean, the whole country seems to be hot. I'm feeling a little bit sorry for Carl and the Kalahari because I'm sure it's sweltering over there. And it's really important to come and check these kind of small mud wallows. I mean, it's not amazing drinking water. Elephants are actually quite fussy with the water that they drink, particularly when there's so much water around. But they're all coming through here to kind of splash themselves, cool down. You'll see the ones over there. You see how they're flapping their ears. Look behind their ears, particularly on their backs. Very, very wet. And that allows them to keep cool, particularly behind their ears, where the membrane is so thin. They'll throw a lot of water and there are lots of veins. And when that's cooled their ears down, the veins pumping blood down through the ears, that then cools the blood down as it pumps through the rest of the body and allowing the elephant to cool down as well. So, a really good spot to start. It looks like there's actually quite a few more that are coming in to join. I wonder if they weren't, when we got here, a part of a second herd of elephants that had come through. And now have a look at this big one over here, scratching itself. Look how the whole tree shakes. Isn't that quite crazy? And you'll see, once they've wet themselves like that, they'll often take sand. I wonder if she's not going to do it now as well. And they'll throw sand onto their backs where the water has been. They don't have sweat glands, so it can be often quite cool for them to cool down. So by throwing sand on there, it kind of traps that air layer which keeps them cool with the water. And then the sand turns to mud, and then they go up to a tree like you just saw, and they scratch and they scratch. And that often can rid them of parasites and ticks. And that elephant was quite, or that dead tree is quite lucky to still be standing with that elephant scratching itself. Have a look at that one sniffing, trunk up in the air. See, that one hasn't come to the water yet, it doesn't look like. I wonder if this isn't the second herd that's potentially coming through and kind of meeting up with initially another herd that was here first. I mean, they've got nothing to do with each other. They're just in the same place at the same time, doing the same thing, cooling down, covering themselves in mud, almost in a form of sunscreen, actually. Is this one going to show itself behind the bush? Is it coming to drink? Kind of waiting in anticipation for this one to show itself. I can't see if it's one that's actually been at the water yet. It might actually have been. Has it been at the water? No, it doesn't look like it. I can see, you'll often see the darker shades of grey, the ones that have been at the water. Looks like it's got a mouthful of food. It's got a little one as well. The little ones often have a lot of fun in this mud wallow. I wonder if it's not going to come and roll around for us. You'll see, hopefully we'll see some excitement as it gets a bit closer. Still being quite careful not to go too far from them. Did you see both of the little one and the medium one kind of put up their trunks as they were coming to the watering hole, kind of smelling around? I think they saw us and they just wanted to smell. See, not much of a drink. How's that for a splash and a spray, hey? I mean, those trunks are quite incredible, being able to pick up almost 10 litres of water in one go. I'm sure this is a good combination of water and mud. Look at the little one. Mom's a little bit unsure of us here. We've kept our distance. We're on the other side of the watering hole, fair distance away. Maybe she's just... she seems to have calmed down a bit. I wonder if the little one's going to get its confidence up. See, underneath the tummy, on her back. I wonder if she's not going to go behind her ears. All the way on her back. I'm surprised the little ones haven't come in and had a mud wallow as well. They often thoroughly enjoy a good mud wallow. Being a lot smaller and a lot lighter, they can also afford to lie down in the mud a lot more and roll around. Being so shallow, often bigger elephants might struggle a little bit, although the mud is quite soft. See that mom's reaction? I don't think it's necessarily us. I wonder if there are not a few younger bulls from that other herd that I'd mentioned earlier coming through. So I'm going to stick around here. I wonder if the second herd isn't going to come and have a drink, and I'm going to send you over to Tristan as that leopard might be making its way away.
While Dan sticks around with his herd of ellies, you can see there's much anger and frustration that is emanating from Kuchava at the moment. She's had enough, I think. She's snapped at her cub a few times now and had a full go at him, which has led him to kind of tuck in underneath a little wattle at the moment behind her. He bravely took his punishment from Mom just to sneak in behind her and lie down. I haven't seen Thandi come and following. They haven't moved too far from where Thandi originally was. I mean, I'm not sure if she's going to follow them or she's going to leave them and just nap for now. I expect late in the afternoon when it gets cooler, they're going to then follow each other a lot more. So Project Kuchava's son he must be close to a year old, because he was seen in February and he was little at that stage. He must be about a year now. He's a fairly large boy, but he's not quite big enough yet to be... I suppose he could be independent if something were to happen to her. I think he would be able to survive. He's the same size as she is. You see the submission behavior. Do you see how when he got up and she growled at him, he lies down immediately? So that's just him being submissive to Mom and to say to Mom, it's just me, stop fighting with me. I'm not the one that's doing anything to you. But she's, like I say, she's irritated on all levels. She's been chased by an elephant. She's got a rival female here. She's got serious heat that is blazing down this afternoon, which means that she's grumpy as it is, and then she's got a cub that probably has been getting in the way all day and just driving her absolutely mad, because it's stark contrast what we see now from what we saw this morning. This morning we saw a mom that was loving and grooming and calling her cub and happy to be with it, and this afternoon you can see she's just constantly grumbling at him. Every time he moves, she's got something to say to him, and it just becomes a lot more kind of vocal around the kind of relationship with each other. It's amazing what another leopard can do to a mother in her temper. Can you hear her? I think this is it. I think she's going to try and break away from Thandi now. Hopefully she can move quickly enough that Thandi will leave her alone. And she'll be able to head out of this, and it can be the separation that they were looking for. But like I say, once it gets cooler, you might find Thandi's going to get up and actually try and track her down. Unless there was a bit of an altercation during the day, but both females look healthy. There doesn't look like there's any cuts or blood or anything to worry about at all when it comes to either female. So maybe it'll just be a peaceful breakup now. One will go south, the other one will go north, and everybody kind of knows where the boundary is. Let's see if the little boy moves. I'm interested to see whether or not he follows his mom. Interesting also that she's left him behind between Thandi and her. It's not like she's, shielding him at all. She's kind of walked away, and Thandi is in the direction of where this cub is lying at the moment. All right, well, unfortunately, there's a lot of vehicles already that are wanting to come here, so we're not going to be able to stay much longer. So we'll just try and get back here a little bit later. And in the meantime, though, let's send you back across to Dan.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, it seems as if the rest of the herd has come to join us here. And look at that little baby right at the watering hole. It doesn't look like it's got any clue as to really how to use that trunk. It's kind of just splashing and flapping it around. So that'll give us quite a good indication as to how old it might be. My estimation would be somewhere around a year or so. Look how it's got the trunk right in its mouth. There's an incredibly detailed muscle network in a trunk. Almost around 40,000 muscles or so, which takes a long time to work out how to use. And because of that, it takes an elephant more than a year or so to learn how to use that trunk properly. Look at it, it's trying to drink. It's got a decent grasp, but not fully yet. You see how it's kind of flailing around? Often it's just splashing and splashing, rather than picking up lots of water or lots of mud. I wonder if it's not going to roll around in the mud, because it's quite difficult for it to actually spray the mud on itself. Demi, is an elephant's trunk sensitive? Incredibly so. I mean, it's a tough part of the body, and there's some thick skin. But you'll see an elephant's trunk is incredibly good at being able to push over trees. I'm going to give a little bit of space to this bull that's coming towards us. Just be a bit more cautious towards him and be a bit more respectful. But Demi, yes, incredibly sensitive. The bull's now coming right towards us. And you'll see it being able to push over and pull huge trees, but also having the dexterity to be able to pick up tiny individual fruits. Being incredibly sensitive like that. Look at these two. Just kind of playing with themselves. The one's getting a little bit jealous of the mud that the one's throwing on it. Look at that bull. You see how it almost came towards us, not chasing us away, more investigating. But then when it went to that side of the watering hole, pushing those two smaller ones away. Almost a little bit of a bully. You see, it's almost getting to the age where the females in the herd will be chasing this one away. That'll often happen at around 14 years old or so. It's different in every herd and in every animal. And you'll see he'll almost start to develop a bit of an attitude. His testosterone will start to increase, and he'll start to cause a bit of trouble in the herd and push and shove his weight around, almost like you saw him pushing his way into that side of the watering hole and pushing the two smaller ones away. When they start to do that, the moms start to get very irritated with them and push them away. And I mean, you see how this young bull is left at the watering hole on its own. And if Odie looks at the rest of the herd, they're all moving away. They've all come, they've had their splash. I don't think they had too much of a drink here. As I said, it's not the cleanest water. And the herd is now moving on. And you'll see this bull He's starting to get to that age where he's now starting to linger back, starting to do his own thing. But I'm sure once that the rest of the herd goes out of sight, he's almost going to go running back to mom until she leaves him for good or chases him away, in which case he'll have to spend the rest of his life moving around either on his own. He might join up with a small group of other bulls that are in a similar situation. Quite importantly, he may even join up with some very large bulls. And that's incredibly important in this young bull's life, because if he were to leave the herd and doesn't find bigger, stronger bulls, he'll come into that form of must where his testosterone increases, and that'll almost cause him to start looking for opportunities to mate with females. And the older bulls, the bigger and stronger bulls, they'll compete with this younger bull when he comes into must. And because they're much bigger and much stronger, they will outcompete him, and they'll actually suppress his testosterone levels, pushing him out of must. So him joining up with bigger bulls, he almost learns from them. Let me move a bit forward here. Looks like there might even be another few elephants coming through to this little mud wallow. So it's incredibly important for this elephant to kind of learn from the bigger bulls. And initially, when he starts coming into those forms of must and the testosterone levels are high, it can be quite difficult for a young bull to manage. It's something new to him, and he can be incredibly irritable. And you'll see in certain reserves where they have almost relocated elephant bulls because they're nomadic, they don't have territories. Initially, they thought it would be quite easy to kind of relocate them. But by relocating younger bulls and the increased level of testosterone without the bigger, stronger bulls to outcompete them and suppress that testosterone, they kind of lose their minds a bit. And they were found trying to mate with rhinos and killing hippos and kind of behaving how an elephant shouldn't, which is super strange. And that's often because they didn't have the presence of those more experienced, bigger and stronger bulls suppressing their testosterone. A couple of bigger ones in the back there coming through. So let's see if these elephants don't come through and have a splash. I'm going to give it a few minutes. If they don't, I'm going to keep looking for some other things. In the meantime, I'm going to send you over to Pete at Pinda.
Good afternoon and welcome to and Beyond Pinda Private Game Reserve. We have these two white rhino. It's a nice cool afternoon. Raindrops. There's a bit of a storm brewing in the background there, but these two don't mind too much. Oh, they minded that. That was a bit of a big lightning strike. I don't know if you saw them get a bit of a fright there, but my name's Pete, and behind the camera we have Glenn. And this afternoon we are probably going to be out for a little while longer. Depends on how the storm goes. It's looking a little bit daunting at the moment. These rhinos got a little bit of a fright there. As we know, their eyesight's not very, very good, so that lightning strike would have given them a bit of a fright. They would have seen quite a light, bright flash go past, and that would have given them that fright. You can see now they're full alert. They're pointing in each direction. Their ears are going everywhere. They're trying to decide what just happened. See, they've stopped eating. Mum's looking around, a little bit concerned, not too sure what just happened there. It's very interesting how their ears are both pointing in the same direction, not quite the direction where the lightning was coming from, but obviously they're trying to figure out now which direction that light came from. So this calf is a little bit older now, probably close to 2 years. If you look up at the level where it comes up to on mum, this young male calf will probably in the next few years head off, leave mum, and she will probably start pushing him out so that she can start breeding again and then have another calf in the future. So what this calf will do is he might go and find another few similar aged calves, or even an older female that has a young calf, and they will work together, because obviously you can imagine he's quite vulnerable at this age. He's still quite small. A pride of lions would still be able to catch him. Shame they still haven't put their heads down to feed again. I'm sure if there is any more lightning, they might head off into quite a thick, dense area with a lot of vegetation just to be protected from this wind. White rhinos don't really like the wind too much. They feel a little bit vulnerable when the wind blows quite heavily. You can see their nostrils are also flaring. They're opening up their nostrils, seeing if they can pick up any scents. Well, Maple Pie, it depends on which animal. So rhinos, shoulder height gets up to about 1.6 meters. Left. Vulnerable to, whereas a giraffe, I've heard in the past on Pinder from people that have been here for a bit longer, that we've had a few incidences where rhinos, giraffe rather, have been struck by light and their head sticks out quite a lot. A storm would be quite bull now. He's come. If you look up, she's. Okay, look at Mom now. She's not very happy with the approach of this young bull. The calf's just gone to the back. But we're going to stay here a while and just see what happens, what unfolds. Well, welcome back to sunny Kalahari. We have to apologize about the bit of breakup that we had over there. Obviously with the rain, quick movements, but it's all sunny this side. And on closer investigation, I've ID'd these two individuals as two males, not mother and two. So these are the two dominant males within this given area. And they are still taking it quite easy, which is okay for now. It's still quite warm. And hopefully as the temperature starts to drop and things become a bit cooler, so the activity of these individuals would increase. Obviously when prey starts moving around, they do so as well. But definitely two males. You can see the size of them, especially when they lift their head, that you can definitely see that they're two males. Just their morphological structure is fairly heavily built in comparison to a female that would be petite and slim. You can see how strong the bonds are between these two individuals, how close they are lying to one another. They are inseparable, literally joined by the hip. Cicadas are singing quite prominently, and the afternoon is starting to get cooler. Just felt a degree or two drop, which is a bit of a relief. Then Tswalu, well, how do you tell the difference between a male and a female cheetah? Good afternoon. Well, that would be general body structure. Males are more heavily built, so they have larger heads, thicker necks, more robustly built around the shoulders, in comparison to a female, which would be very slim, very slender, very sleek looking. Then also one can use, obviously, between the legs. You can see the genitalia fairly well. As in with the males, you can see that fairly well. And females, it'll just be clean and neat and tidy. But definitely morphological structure is a telltale sign on how you can ID male and female. Also, when they go to the toilet, when they urinate, especially when males spray, and the way that they spray, you can also identify them via that. That's about how you would identify male and female. You obviously have to look at cheetah a little bit to really judge
the structure on male and that of female can become quite tricky. It's a lot of activity of insects. Obviously, with this heat now that we have, insects are very busy. And within Tswalu, we do experience fairly hot temperatures, 45, 48 degrees Celsius. But this area, we dry heat. Unlike our colleagues in Pinda that would be, in the eastern part of the country, that would be experiencing a high humidity. So with increased heat, that feels like that pressure and that heat is just sitting very, very close to you. Whereas in here, it's still got a coolish feel to it, which is nice. But still hot. There's no doubt about that. So these two males, obviously, like I said, joined by the hip. And bonds between male cheetah are very strong. And they're in this format, which we refer to as a coalition, from a point of view is that they can establish themselves better in this area, which is great. Access to food and access to females. But we're going to sit with them for a little bit longer, and hopefully they'll become a bit more active.
This little cutie, Cape Turtle Dove, has come down to a drink. Oh, and have a snack. At this tiny, tiny little pan. There were some other little creatures around, birds and dragonflies. That's what caught my attention here. But it's also interesting to note that this is how the big dams or even large pans like Chele Pan start. It starts with one little hole in the road, fills up with water, and then birds come and drink from it, and then maybe something a little bigger, maybe a warthog decides, oh, that's a nice place to cool off. So they roll around in it, becomes a little bit bigger, and then maybe a little elephant calf comes and steps in it, plays in it. Elephants dig the mud from it to splash themselves with, and all of a sudden you get not such a small hole filled with water, and it can get bigger and bigger and bigger. The more animals make use of it, and the more they make use of it, the more water it can collect because it gets larger, and before you know it, over many, many years, you get a dam or a pan. It's quite interesting to think about that kind of succession. Because when you see a little hole in the road that's filled with water, almost like a pothole, you don't think much of it. But imagine what it could be with a bit of time. In tens of years, it could become a great water source for lots and lots of animals. I'm going to stick around here and see what other birds come down to drink at this little one.
Welcome back to And Beyond Ngala. Now, I've spent a bit more time with this herd that was wetting themselves, and I know there's a lot of you at home who are asking questions about that mother who was pregnant and the baby. And I did spend about 2 days looking for her, but I'm going to be as respectful as I possibly can. I spent 2 days looking for her. There's a chance that she's possibly left the property as well, and there's a chance that she's given birth. But I'm going to wait for her to kind of pop up. This certainly isn't the herd that she was with. There were only 4 members in that herd when we were with them. So I don't know where she's gone. I really hope if she has given birth that it was successful and that she's okay and that the baby's okay. But yeah, this is definitely a different herd which I'm spending some time with at the moment. And I mean, it's amazing, all these little ones, all different ages. I really hope that small herd of 4 becomes 5 and stays. That mother manages to survive, the calf survives, and they start to develop into a large herd, quite like this one. Maharaga. How long does an elephant live for in the wild? And in the wild, they may get up to about 60 years old. But in captivity, you'll see they'll live a little bit longer. And the reason for that is, if you have a look at the material that these elephants are feeding on. Most of their trunks are down in the grass. And now in summertime, you can see there's an abundance of grass. There's one that's pulling on a tree there. Is it going to actually break the branch? It is, actually. And you'll see at this time of the year, they're going to focus on feeding on the grass, much softer material, because throughout their lives, they go through 6 sets of molars and 6 sets of teeth, in which the softer material will allow their teeth to last a lot longer and will allow them to digest their food for a bit longer. A lot of their digestion actually happens in the chewing of their food. They've got pretty poor digestive systems, actually, and so they're having to chew their food quite a lot. The harder materials, particularly in the drier months, takes quite a toll on their teeth and wears them down quite quickly. So in the captivity where they get fed soft food every day almost, they will almost live up to 10 years longer. It's not to say that they won't eat some of the barks and leaves and trees at this time of the year, particularly ones with fruits. You'll see them pushing over large trees to get to new shoots, or shaking marula trees to drop fruits. They'll do that, but in the winter times, when there's almost no grass around, they'll almost have to resort to bark and quite stick or quite woody trees. You'll see they can actually be quite destructive to some of the trees. As soon as they ring bark the trees, I mean, that's where the nutrients is in almost the xylem behind the bark and the trees, where that transports the nutrients up and down the tree. They'll be trying to get to that cambium layer behind the bark. So they'll stick their tusks right into the tree and kind of peel it all off to get to the softer, more nutritious parts. You can see the marks on this one from where it's been splashing itself in the water a few moments ago, all over its head. The bush is kind of covering it at the back, but you can see the different colors of grey. You can even see on its ear, look at all that mud, where it was throwing water, and then maybe some fresh sand on there, maybe even mud, just plain mud onto its ear. You see how it's caked on there. They'll often go and scratch. We also saw one scratching on a tree earlier. It will scratch to try and get rid of all that mud and take some parasites off with it. See, there's that softer grass that it's looking for. Some new plants as well. It's kind of chewing, moving. So I'm going to keep going this afternoon, seeing if we can't, it is starting to cool down here. I'm going to try and see if we can't follow up on some lions or some leopards this afternoon. I'm going to send you over to Taylor.
So we've now arrived at our favorite spot, Van and Ndlovu Dam, where you can pretty much find me every single day. If I ever go missing, you know where to come and find me, somewhere around here. Anyways, we're sitting with the hippopotamus, who has basically taken up squatting rights in Ndlovu Dam now, who's been basking in the sun all day long. And there were a couple of other animals around not too long ago, quite a few zebra, our friend the wildebeest, as well as, you know, the usual residents from the Egyptian geese right down to the blacksmith lapwings that linger along the edges of the water. It is very, very hot. I'm shocked. I'm actually shocked to the bone that there is not a huge herd of buffalo or elephants here yet. But look how wrinkly he's gone. Hey, Seb? He's become quite cracked since we last saw him this morning. He's had his back out of the water for most of the time. And that's what happens to hippos. They don't keep their skin moist. They start to crack like that, which is not very good. I think you need to do a bit of a rollover, and I think you need to find yourself a bit of a shady spot, my friend. But anyways, this is just how it goes. It's not like he doesn't have an option to go to these places. He just chooses to be out in the sun. Hey, big boy. Oh, he's not a monster hippo. He's quite young. He's quite a young fella. But one thing I do really miss is seeing masses of hippos out on the banks during the warm days, sunning themselves. It was something that you can definitely see in the Masai Mara, and then also we used to see lots of chitwa, which was quite cool. And I also miss seeing little hippopotamuses, because I think that they are, in my opinion, the cutest baby animal. They really, really are. Oh, what is going to happen now? So we've got another animal that has just popped out of nowhere, really. So not quite a herd, but a buffalo. And he's racing towards the water's edge. Now, speaking of chitwa, it seems as though Tristan has got my favorite animal also racing towards the water's edge.
Indeed, Taylor, we have a herd of ellies, and it is a constant flow of elephants at chitwa this afternoon. It literally is just non-stop. As a herd leaves, another one arrives and goes. I was actually just talking to guests now that are staying at chitwa. They said this morning they counted over 200 elephants at the dam during breakfast. So it's just elephants wall to wall in this area at the moment. But I'm going to reposition because I don't want to see their bottoms. They kind of side on as they drink. But what's interesting is this particular herd, there's two females here that I recognize, and they normally, if it is them, I'm 90% sure it is, but maybe some of you will be able to help us. But they look like two members of Fang's herd. And she's not here, and it's a very small grouping. But there's the female that is right in the middle of the group. You'll see she's got a long left tusk, and then a shorter righter tusk. And then there's another big female that's got huge, well, not huge, but I mean they're long tusks for this area. That one turns up slightly. So I'm pretty sure that these were members of Fang's herd the last time I saw them. That female with that long left tusk is a pretty kind of notable individual, and the one that's got the upturned left tusk where the right tusk goes straight, which is the one that's kind of walking off in the background. So I don't know if maybe Fang has already been here and left. It's possible, because when we were coming down there was a whole group that was just leaving, and as they kind of disappeared, this group arrived. So maybe everyone's just kind of feeding around and coming to the water when and if they need. But it's just magic to be at chitwa when you've got this amount of ellies, because it's just a constant flow that comes through this particular dam when it's hot like this. And the next 3 days at chitwa are going to be magical from that point of view, because it's going to be seriously hot over the course of the 3 days. Now, detracting from the ellies just a little bit, I'm going to try to get back into that leopard sighting just now. Like I say, unfortunately, there's quite a number of vehicles, and I actually made space for an old friend, which is Herbie. For a lot of you that used to watch, you'll know Herbie. He's guiding out of one of the camps here, and he was wanting to join the sighting, so it felt like a good deed to let Herbie go and have a little look after all that he had done for us over the years. But with that leopard sighting, I've been racking my brains this morning, this afternoon, as to why those leopards were all just lying there and not really moving, and there was no attempt to get away. And it all makes sense now. The guys have just told me that there's actually a kill there, but it's not where they are now. It's quite far from where they are, and so that means that, you know, that kind of like puts all the pieces in place, because it is exactly why neither of those cats are moving away, is because there's meat there. And that's why the cub has not moved away either, because he wants to go back to the kill to eat. But I probably find every time one of them goes up to try and feed, the other ones chase them, and so you're getting this kind of constant back and forth, and why they're not moving far away at all. So it makes a lot more sense. I don't know what the kill is, but let's see a little bit later when we go back if maybe they make their way towards it. But I'm going to keep quiet for a little bit just so you guys can enjoy the sounds of these ellies drinking. Dion, it's quite an interesting question. You're asking about sizes of elephant herds and how big they can get. So obviously there's a limit in terms of water and food availability of sizes of herds, because really big herds, as we know, are quite destructive. They can denude an area pretty quickly of vegetation. So you find that that will kind of limit the role or limit the size of elephant herds. But if we had to just sort of go from history, there's been herds that have been reported that were over 1,000 elephants together. The largest herd I've ever seen was in Tsavo East National Park, which we saw from the air. And I mean, we couldn't count every single one of them, but it was easily 500 to 800, maybe even 1,000 elephants. And it was really interesting because the next morning we went to where we saw them, and it looked like a tornado had gone through that area. Where those elephants had walked, there was just carnage. Trees were broken, the grass was trampled. You could actually physically see the line that they had walked, not based off their footprints, but based off the destruction of the bush as they had gone. So that's very unusual, though. Here in this part of the world, in South Africa, a big herd for us would be 100, 150. I haven't seen any herds in the Kruger that go over that. I've seen multiple different herds at one waterhole where you kind of it looks like there's more than that number, but they're not actually all in the same herd. You see them arriving and leaving at separate times. So we don't get huge herds like that. And there's probably a couple of reasons for that. It's probably not because of a lack of water and food, but an oversupply of those two. It means that the ellies don't have to congregate in one place. They don't have to come to one waterhole. There's lots of water spread throughout the Kruger system, particularly now in the summer. The rivers have all got water, and so you don't get those same kind of congregations of big herds. They're able to break and fragment into all kinds of little smaller groups where they can find food and water pretty easily. All right, our ellies are leaving. We're going to probably stay at Chipta Dam for a little bit and just take it easy and see what else comes down now that our ellies are leaving.
Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply. Wild Earth is launching our brand new Explorer program with an opportunity to win a very special Wild Earth expedition. The lucky winner will get a behind-the-scenes Wild Earth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala Tainted Safari Camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend with a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse. Become a Wild Earth Explorer and stand a chance to win this and many other prizes. Terms and conditions apply.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at and beyond Pinde Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Join us around the fire as we have our very first Wild Earth Explorers Fireside Chat.
And what that means is that if you are an explorer, we're inviting you to come and join us so we can chat about the greatest highlights of 2020.
We will be chatting about our favorite characters and what they have been up to during the course of this year.
And if you would like to join us, head over to our Explorers page and subscribe. Don't miss out. This Fireside Chat will be on the 13th of December at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time, straight after Sunset Safari.
So we've changed the scenery slightly. Well, not in the sense that we've left Ndlovu Dam. We're still here. We're with the blacksmith lapwing now. Well, it was being quite kind and had posed very closely to the car. And then, as of course we were about to go live, it flew to the other side of the dam. Typical typical. The birds love to do that. It's just moving along looking for delicious insects and other things to eat. But it's actually very quiet. I don't think we're really going to stay at Ndlovu Dam for much longer, other than the buffalo that's now just relaxing in the water and the few zebra that are dotted around in the distance. Haven't even heard any sounds of elephants making their way towards the dam. No branches breaking and no grunting from big herds of buffalo. Of course, the zebra are just out there feeding in the distance. There's no need for them to hang around right at the edge of the dam unless they're coming to drink, because typically the areas right around the edges of a watering hole are very much overgrazed. So they'll just hang out over there. There's quite a few of them. It's not just those two. I think I counted about 10 in total, but they've sort of just moved around and put a bit of distance between themselves. A bit of grass. You can see their tails swishing, lots and lots of biting bugs, and the things. Much stamping of feet as well. Can't be very pleasant to be an animal like this and have flies and all sorts of things constantly around you. It would drive me insane. I would have lost it a long time ago. I'll probably hear the arams as well. The green woodhoopers, which are always in camp. The two of them have been battling it out for most of the afternoon. Just having a quick scan around. If there's anyone else coming here, but it doesn't seem like it. Some woodland kingfisher calling in the distance. That might be just too far away for you to hear. Okay, Seb, I think we're going to carry on because it is unfortunately not particularly entertaining at the water's edge. We did pick up on some fresh tracks of a leopard earlier, a female. So we will see if we can't maybe find her. Do that, off you go to Dan, who has found himself an elephant.
Welcome back, everybody. So there is a little baby who's just kind of walked behind one of the bigger females there as well. Look at this female as she walks past. Look at that ear of hers. That's an incredibly distinguishing feature of her. I think I have seen her, not for many months though. Oh, just kind of gone behind. There she goes. I'm sure that's an injury that kind of happened when she was much younger, when her ears were soft and maybe running through the bush, maybe getting cut up by a thorn or a thorn tree as she moved through. But a real easy way to identify that elephant in particular. Sometimes elephants can be tricky. I mean, we heard Tristan talking about Fang, the herd or a matriarch named Fang, and that's to do with her tusks. Tusks are a really good way to also identify elephants, although lots of them are just short and straight or long and straight. But different angles will make it easy to identify them. I mean, this is an incredible scene. Nice open area, the lighting is beautiful. This bull over here, let me just pop down, or are we coming this way? This bull is super interested with this female, and she's actually not chasing him away. She's being quite receptive. And that's exactly what he'll do. He's not in must at the moment, but he is looking for an opportunity to mate. He is quite big and he is quite strong. I'm sure he's not the biggest and the strongest elephant that's around in the area at the moment. He has lost a bit of interest all of a sudden. But he'll move through these kind of herds, trying to see if these females aren't in estrus or receptive to potentially mating. Taylor, 12 years old, why do elephants have such wrinkled skin? And you'll see, particularly when they're born, they are even more wrinkly. They've got a lot of room to grow. So that's a lot of the reason. They need the space for their skin to grow and stretch. But also they don't have sweat glands. So as we saw them earlier bathing and throwing them mud all over themselves, and have a look at this male as well. Just zoom out a little bit their beaks, just so you can see the color differences. Because they don't have sweat glands, they'll need to kind of throw water on themselves to keep them cool. And being such a big animal, it takes a long time to cool down and to heat up. So when the water gets into those wrinkles and then they put mud and cover it up, that allows the cooler temperature to be locked into those wrinkles, allowing it to stay cooler for longer and giving it a longer time to allow its body to cool down. And because that water and that cool temperature will be locked into those wrinkles, it'll be beneficial to that elephant for a much longer time than if their skin was just flat. You see how he's also kind of been left behind by the rest of the herd. I wonder if he's not going to keep going on his way, try and find another herd, maybe see if he can't find an opportunity to mate. He may, in fact, even come into a bigger bull that might even push him away from doing exactly what he's doing. And maybe a bigger bull will have a better chance at mating with that female who almost gave him the light of day, but kind of lost interest quite quickly. Unfortunately, I have heard that Pete at Pinda has had to return back to the lodge due to safety reasons, which is quite unlike Pete. He's often in a bit of trouble and can be sent home for the wrong reasons. No, I'm just kidding. But for safety reasons, unfortunately, Pinda is no longer with us this afternoon. We really hope them the safest drive back, particularly in the lightning. I mean, rain in this place at this time of the year can be super unpredictable, but beautiful. It brings incredible life with it. Look at the elephants kind of moving off through the bush. Look at the little one there. I'm sure those two are related in one way. Morgan, will bulls recognize their young? And I'm afraid not. The bulls or the males have very little to do with raising their young. And in fact, they won't even really recognize which females they've mated with, particularly because the elephant herds and the bulls, they aren't territorial, and especially very large, very strong, very dominant bulls will mate with many, many females and from many different herds. And they, particularly a 22-month period of a pregnancy, is a long time, and in those 22 months, the herd could potentially be hundreds of kilometers away from where that bull was or where that new calf was conceived. So they won't have any idea if it's their own calf or not. Of course, the calf, particularly if it's a female, will spend its entire life with the herd, so the females know very well who their own calves are, and particularly if it's a female, they'll be with the herd forever. Younger bulls, however, will be chased away and go and move around on their own. Look at them just moving. Look at that little one running. Maybe try and chase a relative of it. Just kind of got ahead of it more than anything. You'll often see, I mean, it's a bit far to really tell, but that might very likely be a young bull. Just from its behavior, you'll see younger bulls can often be quite boisterous and pushy and shovey, and you'll find brothers or cousins kind of locking small tusks and practicing for when they get bigger and stronger. And just from their behavior, you can tell that they are young males. Otherwise, it can be quite tricky to sex an elephant, I mean, particularly at their young ages. Their arches in their backs are a good way to do it. The shapes of their forehead. Those are often the best ways to do it. But to people who don't spend all day, every day out here, it can be very tricky to sex a young elephant particularly. I mean, you saw that big bull when he moved through. He was quite substantially larger than the rest of the females, and that's just a giveaway with bigger bulls. Their size is easy to tell, and the older females have often got those mammary glands underneath their front legs, which will tell us that they are females. Look at them as they walk. You see how those ears are flapping? All of these elephants have been to the water, put that water behind their ears, but even when they're flapping like that, that's allowing a cooler breeze to blow over their ears and keep them cool. Danik, I'm sorry if I've just answered your question, but I'm more than happy to answer it again. Oh, listen to that. Why are the elephant's ears always flapping? On a hot day like today, the flapping of the ears is to keep them cool. And by flapping, they're allowing that breeze to blow over their ears. And because they've got that incredibly detailed vein network behind their ears, that will cool the blood pumping through those veins right down. As the cooler blood pumps through their body, that will ensure that they stay cool as well. Crowned lapwings flying over us, making a bit of a noise. wonder if something didn't startle them off their eggs and they might trying to distract whatever it is by taking them to this side of this open area. Look at how heavily this one's ears are flapping. Keeping that breeze constant as they're going, or kind of had its path interrupted by another one. Go and maybe spend some time in the shade because it is quite hot. Okay, well, seems like these elephants are kind of moving off. I'm going to keep going, try and see if we can't find some cats this afternoon. I'm going to send you over to Tswalu with Kyle and his sleeping cheetah. Welcome back. Sorry, we just lost the audio at Tswalu, and I'm going to quickly just do a little U-turn around here, try and see if we can get these elephants coming right towards us. There's the larger group on that side there. Let's see our beaks. I reckon that one might be a bit better. To spend some time with the younger ones are in there. Let's see if we can't spend a bit of time watching the little ones. I mean, we really got to try and take advantage of this. What a beautiful herd moving through some open areas, feeding, very calm, very relaxed. Look at that little one scratching up against. I'm pretty sure that'll be its mother. We're talking about all the mud on its ears and on their faces. I wonder if it's not using the back leg of its mom as almost a rubbing post to try and get rid of that mud and maybe some pest on the front of its head. Look at the trunk as well. So we were talking about it earlier, the use of a trunk and how long it can take a little baby to develop the use. Keep a good lookout. You see how controlled the mother is. That trunk at the bottom, picking up roots and grasses and fresh growing flowers, and with such ease. Look at that little one. It's like almost flailing around, not being able to pick up any grasses or any fresh flowers, and they'll only really get full use of their trunk around 2 to 6 years old or so. I mean, it will take a year before they can use it properly, but yeah, I mean, this little one, just judging by the dexterity of its trunk, I would say it's probably around a year old. It might even be that exact one that we were watching at the watering hole earlier. It was kind of just flapping its trunk in the water. Look at it scratching its eye. So it's got a little bit of use, but it's nowhere near. It would never be able to pick up an individual fruit with that trunk just yet. You see, it's trying. It's kind of watching mom and watching everybody else in the herd. But it hasn't quite mastered it just yet. It's quite amazing, actually, just to sit and listen to them. I mean, they are kind of all around. Sorry. So, yeah, okay, cool. Sorry, lost our audio there very quickly. But we're back. Look how the little one's kind of putting the trunk in its mouth, almost like a dummy or a pacifier. It's trying, hey? Trying very hard. But it's very difficult when you've got such a detailed muscle network in your trunk. So, Nikita, how many calves can a female have in her life? Females will start having calves at probably around 15 years old, and they'll have calves every 5 years or so until they're about 50 years old. So 1 at 15, 2 at 25, 3 at 35, 4 at 45. Let's say about between 4 and 5 calves throughout their lives. It's quite a lot, eh? I mean, it's a tricky thing to have a baby. I mean, particularly the other day, watching that elephant, it wasn't so easy to watch at times. But look at this little thing. I mean, isn't it just the cutest little bundle of joy walking around? And it's already around a year old. When they're just born, they're super cute and quite useless, actually. But that's part of the cuteness and part of how amazing these animals are and how they look after one another and look after each other. And I just love how it's not only the mother that's that looks after it. Sorry, there's going to be another big mother that's coming through and another little baby that's going to walk past us shortly. And it's not just the mother who looks after the little ones. It's everyone. It's this whole family and community that look after everyone and protect everyone. So I'm going to leave these elephants shortly and I'm going to keep going, trying to see if we can find some lions this afternoon, or maybe even a leopard if we're very lucky. I'm going to send you to Trishala, who's got a bird of prey.
Oh, big cats sounds just great. Here, I have a very silhouetted photo. So either I've got a snake eagle, or I've got a juvenile battalier. Oh, that eye looks like a snake eagle's eye. Brown snake eagle. You can see that there's no feathers on the feet as well. And it's got a very yellow eye. Why wouldn't the leg have any feathers? Because feathers are vascularized along the vein. And considering that they're like snakes, if they had to be bitten on those feathers, it means that that venom can go straight to their body and then they would die, basically. But if it's all scaly, then there's less vascularization, and that would be the exposed part that the snake eagle grabs onto. Grabs the snake with, and then that snake can just bite onto the legs of that animal. But at least it's scaly or modified scales and they're not vascularized. Celestia, you say a beautiful bird. It really is. My favorite part of this bird is its eyes. It's got really, really yellow eyes, like a glowing yellow eye. And you know, in that golden light, if it just hits that eye perfectly, you can look into its soul almost. It's so, so beautiful. So we are here on Buffelshoek and we're doing our dam patrol. The first dam we're going to visit is Nyala Dam. And I hope that, oh look, there's a little bird flying in the background. I hope that we'll be able to see some action at those dams. In Buffelshoek there's potential for Nsele, Nhlangula, maybe even Tingana. So it'd be nice to hang around here. Also with the open clearings around Buffelshoek, we could see some cheetah Maybe wild dogs will be around, we don't know. See, look at that eye. Stunning. Oh, look at that. That is a stare and a half. Gosh, you don't want to break contact, do you? It's looking straight at us. I think it's the first time I've been stared at. Wow. Okay. On that note, I'm going to send you to Kyle and his flat cat while this eagle and I have a stare off.
Come. Welcome back. Well, I heard that you guys were talking about how elephants cool themselves down. This is one way on how cheetah cool themselves down in the Kalahari is by finding life-giving shade. And unfortunately, we're not having a staring competition with this individual right now. They are flat cats. But we have seen that they are very hungry cats. One sibling just got up and repositioned, and his tummy is empty. So I'm almost certain in the next half an hour or so, these cats will be up and about and hopefully be a bit more active and in search for food, giving us some spectacular views. But it's wonderful just to enjoy sleeping cheetah in the southern Kalahari. Obviously, shade is of vital importance out here, and that's obviously where things like the camel thorn and the shepherd's tree, those are the two main trees here that obviously give life-giving shade. But the shade that's being provided there is actually via a black thorn and a shepherd's tree. So the black thorn is directly behind them, and then that shepherd's tree having that distinctive whitewashed bark. Super distinctive and very easily ID'd out here. So not only playing a role for habitats for multiple insects and birds, but also just life-giving shade, which is very much appreciated by these two boys. But if they were hotter, they would obviously do a bit of panting. Panting is a very efficient way on how animals cool themselves down by drawing in air, opening up the mouth, drawing in air, and then allowing that air to cool down and affect the saliva within the mouth before it is drawn into the lungs. And that is obviously via quick repetitions of the lungs, drawing in air very, very quickly. If you have a dog at home, if you've ever run your dog on the beach, that panting behavior is a very efficient way on how these animals cool themselves down. And then obviously sweating through the pores between the digits themselves. But these guys are maybe dreaming about catching antelope. And although that they're flat cats, it's still very beautiful. The sun's starting to find a long arc in the west, just creating this beautiful canvas, especially in the sky. The clouds looking very delicious and very prominent right now. And there's quite a uniform broken layer going on today, but very creative. All right, let's send you over to Tristan, where he can't stay away from spots, and I'm sure he's got something for you folks.
No, we can't. And we're with Thandi now and a herd of elephants. It's just non-stop. Kuchava's gone completely. We can't find her. But we're at the tree where the kill is, and there's an ellie approaching. So I wouldn't be surprised that Thandi's about to shoot straight up the tree. Unfortunately, it's the tree on the left, and it's really tricky because there's quite a lot of kind of bushes and things on the other side. That makes it a little bit difficult to kind of get a decent, clear-cut view of her. And with the ellies being so close, I don't really want to disturb her on that side or attract attention to her. So I'm just sitting where we are. We might not get the best view of her going up, but it will be a view at least. And Thandi with ellies makes me laugh. She just does not care about them. Unlike Kuchava, who you saw had a very different reaction, which was to just leave straight away. Thandi is very, very different. She kind of watches them. She's like, you know what, as long as they're not right in my path, I don't have to move too much, and she's able to then kind of deal with it. But there she goes. I'm surprised she's not going up towards the kill. The kill's in the tree. There's really nothing left of it. To be honest, there's a few strands of skin and a little bit of meat. It looks like a maybe a daiko or something like that that's up in the tree. It really is not much left at all. It's kind of just dangling. So I think she was just having a look around to see if there's any sign of Kuchava here. But maybe if you look up into the tree itself, we'll be able to see the kill. There we go. So you can see not very much left. For those of you a bit squeamish, probably a good time to look away. But it's not really a huge amount of food for a leopard, so maybe she's just kind of rather more interested in Kuchava than she is the food at this stage. But like I say, it explains exactly why we haven't seen either of them kind of back down from this area. Most interactions that you see when there's a kind of fight between cats is to immediately try and get away and move out of the area, whereas with this one you can see it's a little bit more different because there's food involved. They are not going to try and kind of leave the food. Everybody wants what they can get for themselves. Where's she gone now? I can't even actually see her anymore. Like I say, Kuchava has disappeared completely, so I don't know where she went. I found the little boy. He's just where we left him, but Kuchava, not so much. Thandi, where are you lying in there? It's a horrible place. She's kind of in amongst the thicket and grass and trees and everything else, which is really not ideal. So what I probably will do is leave her to herself just now and then come back to her a little bit later if she goes up the tree, because from where Kuchava's son is, we'll be able to see the tree, and so if she goes up we can kind of come back to her. But it's not a great view of Thandi at this stage, but it's a great spot for her in terms of just being in the nice shade, not having to be too hot. It is still very warm this afternoon, so I'm not surprised that she just wants to rest in the shade itself. The best part about it is now is everyone's about to leave us alone. We're going to be on our own, so it should be a really cool afternoon just to sit with these guys and see what they get up to.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, really not that far away from where those elephants were. We were kind of just driving on the road and we found one of the Ross males. And he's, particularly for this time of the day and the heat that's actually going on, he's got his head up, he's looking, he even walked a little bit, and there's a path that he was kind of following. And if PK just zooms out quickly, we've kind of parked on the other side of this watering hole. We saw how all the elephants during the heat of the day went to the watering hole, splashed themselves. I'm really hoping that he keeps coming and has a drink at this watering hole. Now, last tracks of the Pride from this morning. We're not far away from here, and I wonder if they're not around. Maybe he's on his own. If he is on his own, there's a good chance that he'll roar tonight. I wonder where his brother is, and they might roar together. Because if the rest of the Pride isn't nearby, he might be wanting to try and locate where they are. Or one of the most prominent reasons that lions roar is just to advertise their presence, and they wait till it's kind of getting dark, even during the evening. One of the reasons that is that it's much stiller, or much more still and quiet, so that that noise and that roar can travel a long distance, travel up to about between 5 and 7 kilometers away. And that's even by a human ear. Lions will be able to hear it much further away than that. So waiting for the advantage of having extra still conditions allows that roar to travel quite a lot further. And that's busy warning intruders that, and you'll be able to hear bigger, stronger lions will be able to roar much louder. And particularly you'll be able to hear how many lions are roaring as well. So if he is with his brother, that dominance that you can hear from 2 big, strong lions will be incredibly intimidating to a potential intruder. Maybe some young males that are in their nomadic stages of life, that are still trying to just kind of move through lion territories and try and get bigger and stronger before they are capable of taking over their own pride. That'll make these younger males think twice before coming through here. Because if this male does bump into or manage to find one of those younger ones, he'll very likely kill it. That's kind of eliminating competition and eliminating for both food and mating rights. Younger males will be a huge threat to his pride and his own breeding rights, and his cubs particularly. But you see how his head's up? I mean, I was really thinking lions were only going to start really moving around a little bit later. But his head up like that, he's looking right at this watering hole. And there's a path that he's lying on top of, a game path that is made by animals frequently using this path. I mean, big animals like elephants that we spend a lot of time with, if they move on that path, they trample the ground. And similar to how when the cars drive on the roads, they create these paths or these tracks, exactly the same. These game paths are created by a number of animals using them. And we've already had a look at this watering hole. Listen, listen. Quite amazing. That was unexpected. Super early. I wonder who he's looking for and what he's looking for so intently. It's one of the hottest days we've had in a long time. Look how he's looking around. What an amazing scene. The riverbed is right on our left-hand side, and I don't know if you could pick up, there was in fact an echo. This lion roaring over there, it sounded like 2 lions, one over here and an echo in the riverbed. It was quite amazing, actually. Have a look how he's looking around, listening for a reply. Yes, he looks proud and majestic, and after he's just done that, we've had this whole talk about advertising its presence and telling everyone who is the big boss around, and he does that. Nina Moo, do lions sweat? Yeah, they do, in fact. It gets really hot, and on their paws, you'll see often when it gets really hot and they're walking in soft sand, you'll even see moisture come out of their paws when they're sweating. Good question. I mean, I reckon this lion might have even had a few sweats today in the heat. So I'm really hoping he comes through and has a drink to try and cool himself down, as I'm sure he's been using quite a lot of energy to keep himself cool throughout the day. I wonder if he hasn't heard anything. I also thought I heard maybe a softer contact call, which he'll also be looking out for. I mean, the softer contact call might be from one of the females who aren't really wanting to advertise their presence quite as much as this male. Particularly, there's a female with 2 little cubs. Well, they're not so little, they're about 7 or 8 months old, who are still pretty in danger and threatened by other males coming through. So she'll often softly contact call, particularly after the male has called loudly like he just has. She'll have a really good idea as to where that call came from. She may be coming closer and softly contact calling to try and get his attention, or the rest of the pride, particularly if she's in a bit of danger. She might need the protection of this male or the protection and the comfort of the rest of the pride. Let's see if he doesn't do it again. I mean, he didn't even have a warm-up there. You'll often see lions kind of warming up to roar. It takes a lot of energy, so they'll often try and warm up their lungs and their vocal cords. Franco, how far can a lion's roar travel? And particularly on still evenings, it can travel anywhere between 5 and 7 kilometers. So I was just mentioning how you'll often see male lions warming up to roar. I mean, female lions also roar as well, and they'll warm up as well. But because it takes such energy to get that huge distance we were just talking about and convey their message, you'll see them like warming up, kind of like going through the motions, warming up the muscles, warming up their vocal cords before they have to really bellow this call out. So we didn't even see any of that. He kind of just went straight into it. And I haven't heard any roaring. I mean, with this male roaring from here, I'd definitely be able to hear him from where I'm staying during the day. We haven't heard any of that. I would love to know what his intention is with that roar so early on one of the hottest days that we've had. See how he's like kind of facing to the left there, listening. I wonder if something didn't get his attention. Kind of moving more interestingly to the left. I wonder if that whatever it is that he's heard isn't coming close. It might even be prey. I mean, he'll look around. Oh, is he going to get up? No, he's just kind of moving his position now. You see how he's kind of changed around. Now he's facing the other way completely. And that'll be so he can give himself the best kind of radius when listening. He'll be trying to listen all around. Use those ears kind of like radars, point them in the direction. I mean, even yourselves at home, if you put your hands behind your ears and kind of focus them towards anything, whether it be the TV or your computer that you're watching from, you'll hear the sound comes through much better. So I actually did see some distance or some movement in the back there. It looks like some impala actually. I wonder if they're not moving through. I mean, with that roar, those impalas certainly know that this lion is here. One day, if they haven't, maybe they were feeding not so far away, heard this roar, and actually, I mean, they'd be able to pinpoint quite accurately where it came from. Although the lion can often be moving when roaring. So they might have actually moved from where they were earlier, keeping a distance from where they heard that call to try and see if they can see that lion. And we'll keep a listen out again. I might even keep quiet if they start to alarm call. I mean, you see how the lion's almost put his head down a little bit? He might even be trying to hide from those impala. Not necessarily because he wants to hunt them. If they do get close enough, he will, though. But just hiding his presence. Because the impala's coming through, they'll alarm call, they'll bring everyone's attention towards him, which he doesn't really want. That'll actually encourage him to get up and move. And when the impala's alarm call, as well as us listening for that alarm call, hyenas will listen to that alarm call. Other lions will listen to that alarm call. And he doesn't want the attention of hyenas hanging around too much, because those impalas would also alarm call at a leopard, or if a lion or a leopard caught an impala, the rest of them would be alarm calling. Listen. Jeez, isn't that amazing? The power that's really coming from that lion. I'd love to see him get up and walk towards this watering hole. If he doesn't in the next few minutes, I might try and get a bit closer. And I mean, he's quite far away from us. I'm sure you can hear that roar incredibly clearly. If we get a little bit closer, I mean, it's amazing. In the vehicle here, if you're sitting right next to it, you'll feel the whole vehicle vibrate. Tiny, does it take a lot of energy for him to roar? Yes. The simple answer is yes, an incredible amount of energy. And we were talking about this lion needing to warm up even to get this roar going. That just shows you how much energy it requires. It'll use its whole body to kind of like go through the motion. And you'll see, if a lion's roaring very close to you, as I was saying, this whole vehicle will vibrate. It's quite amazing. If you look very carefully at a lion's roar, when you're very close with the camera here, it might even vibrate a little bit. Or if we're very lucky and he gets up and walks towards this watering hole and he starts to do that, keep a close eye out on that camera and maybe your TV screen might shake a bit. I also just saw a bit of movement in the background. I didn't know if that was an impala. It stood out quite a lot. I wonder if it isn't maybe one of the white lions. Let's sit around here. Let's see if they're not coming. Cool. So I'm going to stick around here. I might try and get a little bit closer to him. In the meantime, I'm going to send you to Tristan with a leopard in the long grass.
Well, that sounds like an epic afternoon for Dan up at Ingala. As you can see, we're with Kuchava's little boy now, and we're just chilling with him. And as much as I would love to sit with Tandi and even Kuchava herself, we get so little time with this little guy that I thought the executive decision that I was going to make was let's hang out with him, and whether we don't, maybe we don't get the best sighting out of it, but any time spent with him is going to be invaluable going forward. And kind of doing this kind of stuff is paying forward to later in life when, he becomes a male leopard that maybe distributes towards Djuma. And kind of doing this where we just sit with him for a long period of time, whether there's other females around or not, and he just starts to get used to our presence to the point where he's even just falling asleep like that, is invaluable going forward. And so it's part of the reason why I want to spend time with him. I can hear guinea fowls alarming. I think Kuchava's gone to go and drink. I can't see nicely the tree where the kill is, but I'm sure Tandi's still sleeping and waiting for it to get dark. So with everybody kind of scattered, it seems like the best place is just to sit with the cub. Hopefully Kuchava will come back to get her little one. And why not at the end of the day? I mean, I know it's not the best view. It's just spots kind of panting in the grass, and a lot of people would be like, well, it's not very interesting. But like I say, there's a greater kind of purpose to what we're doing right now. It's to try and kind of keep the habituation process of this little male going. He gets so little time with vehicles because of the kind of area that Kuchava covers. She walks a lot. She also goes into really difficult places. South of us, on her nets, is these undulating drainage lines that are almost impenetrable. I mean, I doubt even our little cars would be able to get in there. And so that makes it tricky. No one really is putting in the hours with this particular cat. And you can see the difference just in Tandi's cub over the course of the last 2 months, where people are putting in lots of time with it and trying to spend as much time with him as possible. And he's now starting to kind of become just like Tandi and Kuchava, and where they, are pretty chilled for you to be around. And so sitting here like this and just being around him, talking, and kind of him being in our presence is teaching him that even when there's chaos going on around him, there's his mom and his grandmother having a bit of a tiff, that we are not doing anything to him and we're not causing anything to happen to him. And therefore he's going to start to trust more and more that we're not a dangerous object, nor are we a food object, because mom is obviously not teaching him to eat us. It's not like she's killing a rusty every day and bringing it back to him. So it's kind of an important part to play. Like I said, it's not the best visual, but still fascinating just to sit with him. And every now and then he pops his head up and looks around and kind of with these big wide eyes and big ears, and pretty cat to spend time with. So why not? Like I said, we're also on our own, so it's just peaceful sitting here. We've got rattling testiculars calling. We've got this leopard here. We've got a leopard above us. We should have a leopard to our west a little bit as well. So there's potential for a lot of different things to happen, but at the moment I feel like this is the right place to be. Maybe some will disagree, but that's okay. We luckily are in control of the steering wheel, so it'll be a bit tricky for most to move us. All right, well, we'll sit here with him and see whether or not these birds irritate him enough to put his head up. In the meantime, though, I'm going to send you across to Trishala, who's taken a bit of time, but she's finally reached her first dam on her dam patrol.
I am on dam patrol. Look at this gorgeous dam. Also some wonderful, calm scenery with the potential for some stuff to happen, because it's a nice large herd of elephants here. We're at Kyamanzi Dam in Buffelshoek. And there's a beautiful breeding herd of Eddies. There's juicy, nutrient-rich grass on the banks of dams, and you'll see animals particularly going after those areas to feed. You can see that's exactly what these elephants are doing this evening. Oh, the light is so beautiful. So, so, so beautiful. There's some Egyptian geese. There's so many things going on. So please excuse my scattered safari, this segment. There's Egyptian geese here with little goslings. Hello, little guys. It feels like an evening at your local park where, you might see people walking their dogs, all kinds of people out and about enjoying the evening. That's how it feels here. Here we have a little family enjoying the gorgeous grass at the edges of the dam. Oh, so cute. Then we had the elephants also enjoying the evening, and there's even one curious baboon with us on the dam wall that's enjoying itself as well. The light is just beautiful. The temperature is wonderful right now. So peaceful and tranquil. Going for a bit of a late afternoon drink as well, while the rest of the family go on and have a snack. I love this dam, Kyamanzi Dam. There's always something happening at it. Yeah, the hippos. And you can also see the elephants for quite some distance, because you can see this little spot of open clearing amongst the trees there, the bushes. Well, that's you looking into the east, but over on the west where the sun is starting to set and it's very, very soft light. You'll be able to see the elephants as we swing across. But there's a troop of baboons just also enjoying the evening. It's really one of those perfect summer evenings where everybody had the most ridiculously hot day. And now it's settling down and cooling, and it's just lovely. Well, we had some elephants walking away from us, but Taylor's got one walking directly towards her.
Good way. Hello, everybody. Sorry, as you can see, I'm reversing because we bumped into our friend Dex, the musk elephant bull. And so what we're going to do, we're going to just keep going back, because even if I do pull off the road, he's going to come over and try and just by his demeanor. So he's swinging his trunk quite dramatically side to side, dribbling urine quite heavily, actually up the pace now. Dex, don't be angry. So this is what you have to do. There's no point messing with an elephant that is in musk. You really need to give them room, give them space. Times you can stand up to elephants, them know that you're a boss. I also know and I know that you're much bigger than that. And not just for a moment. You can just see the change in his whole demeanor. How fog. Front, side, side. Weighing. Like you got a lot of swag. The Geese, I didn't hear what they quite said to me, so I think just to be safe, I'm just going to sit quietly and you can enjoy the scene. Sorry, everybody. I didn't quite hear what was being said, so I just went quiet just in case. But you could see how he throws his weight around now and how easily he can pick up and move a tree about. That wasn't a particularly big branch, but there must have been something delicious that was just underneath. He's slowly making his way towards us again. He's not doing any sort of displacement behavior right now where he pretends to feed. I think he's probably had enough of us. He's genuinely eating. But before he gets too close again, I probably will start up and just keep a healthy distance. He might even just walk past us, but you know, I'm not going to tempt fate. So I'm going to go back instead. Just to keep a good amount of room between us. I'm hoping while we're here we're going to see a leopard pop up on the rocks, but I might be wishful thinking. On Tomboti we've got all these thorn trees in the way that would make for such a beautiful scene, like Trishala was describing to you. The light is so lovely and soft. It's the most beautiful afternoon. Not a breath of wind, well, at least here at Pridelands. It's absolutely gorgeous. Crested barbed calling in the distance too. You can see him dribbling quite heavily between his back legs, which is a telltale sign that he is a must and not to be messed with.
Yeah, when it comes to an elephant bull being in must, you definitely want to give it a wide berth and just give it the utmost respect. Obviously, all the time, respect should be kept to a high degree, but safety is number one. We have left those two male cheetahs. They are in a position, they've actually traveled a bit further south where the mountain becomes a massive obstacle for us to be with you folks. And so we've decided to meander a little bit further south. And look who we have bumped into. A lovely little group of Springbok. And we'll be traveling a little bit further southwest. We have just gotten wind of a bat-eared fox den site. And the guide mentioned that he had got a glimpse of this little new individual. Must be only a couple of days old. So we thought an opportunity we are definitely going to seize. And hopefully we can get a sneak peek of a baby bat-eared fox. But for right now, lovely Springbok in gorgeous light. Oh, a fantastic question was asked a couple of days ago. What is the difference between a Thompson's Gazelle and a Springbok? So obviously if you look at the Gazelle family, a very diverse family, all have a very similar appearance. But this is the only species that we'll find in southern Africa. The rest of the species occur in the north and northeast part of the continent. And then the Thompson's Gazelle has thicker and longer horns in comparison to the Springbok, which would be quite short and they would curl inwards to one another. Whereas the Thompson's Gazelle is quite long and they're almost fairly straight with a slight bend in them. I didn't hear the question correctly, and I just thought, I hope the viewer is listening. And I just thought I would just put that out there. So my apologies. But lovely to see this iconic species. Black cuckoo in the background. Everybody doing a late afternoon graze. Very versatile animal. Obviously their feeding range allows them to span across quite a large area of southern Africa. They do tend to be found in the more western arid regions of the country, and they're very well adapted to arid regions at that. Obviously the ability to browse, so nibble off bushes, and as well as graze, eating off the ground on grass. Kidneys are also very well adapted to extract large amounts of moisture out of the vegetative matter, and even that colouring becomes a vital role in how they cope with severe heat, like here in Tswalu, as well as going into Namibia. And within the area you get actually two populations, which is quite remarkable.
How insane is that animal?
This is out of this world. Fantastic. Good, Mama.
Wow, what a way to start off.
It's just such an incredible privilege to be out here. It just keeps on delivering.
There you go, there you go. Heart is pumping right now.
3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Look at this, everybody. We've got a live kill.
The cock's holding the tail. It's holding tight. Lucky wildebeest.
There's nowhere to go. This is a disaster in the making.
Something that I have never seen before in my entire life that you are now watching live.
My heart is in my mouth, everybody.
Look at this. It's gonna make it. It's going, it's going.
This is just too magical. Hi, little guys. That's great, isn't it? Look at that. Scuba Steve has got a friend.
You've got a friend in me.
It couldn't be a better morning. This is just too special.
Oh my goodness, we've got a turtle.
How epic is the fact that we're coming to you live from the Chobe River?
It's the most incredible feeling to be here. This is live, and we're in Rwanda. This is a very, very different adventure, charged with emotion.
I did not think I would ever face my fears like this.
Welcome back to and Beyond Ngala, everybody. And it's kind of getting to that time of the day when the sky is looking amazing. I mean, the sun is almost set. There's quite a lot of cloud coverage, so it hasn't set just yet, and I'm sure the colors of those clouds are going to change quite drastically. So remember that lion roaring, and at one point we kind of thought we heard some soft contact calling. So as BK slowly zooms out, have a look what we found. So 2 little lion cubs. And Mom is also a little bit over to the left. But I'm going to stick with these 2 little lion cubs. They've been quite playful since we got here, since we found them. And there was a herd of zebra that actually calmed them down. The herd of zebra walked ahead of them, and they stopped to watch. And it's quite interesting. So instinctive. I mean, at this age, there's no chance that one of them will be able to take a zebra, but they just watch it. So instinctively, almost salivating over it. Quite interesting. I wonder if once those zebras kind of move right out of frame, I can't see them at all now, but I'm sure the lions have got a better position to potentially see them, loving the interest. And I mean, this time of the day, I mean, that male lion was roaring very early today. And I wonder, as it starts to cool down, if these 2 aren't going to continue playing. I really hope they do. They've probably spent the whole day, particularly in the heat of today, resting, trying to conserve energy, and they'll almost be in a type of routine that this time of the day they'll start to wake up. With their heads up like that, they might have even finished yawning and stretching, although they might do that. Look out for those kinds of signs. Those are signs that we look out for before they get up and start to play. Still watching, hey, super interested in whatever it is that's going on over there. I can actually see one of the zebras. Might be a bit tricky. Can you see it there, BK? Let me try and get this aerial out of the way. And the zebras have also come through to kind of have a look at these lions. I mean, they're not trying to hide these lions. Those little babies did a real good job, even in the short grass. Let's see, I mean, this zebra's being quite brave. I wonder if it isn't trying to better its position to see what's in front of it. And if it needs to alarm call, if it's feeling threatened. There were a few impalas alarm calling behind us. I'm sure it was at these lions and not the lion, that male that we just had on the other side of the riverbed. So we'd be able to hear that other male lion loud and clear. If we were here, it'd be amazing to see what those little 2 do as well. I mean, that's their father. That's roaring, and that can often spark an interest and get them a little bit excited. I mean, sometimes that can drive the male lions quite crazy, particularly when they do reunite and the cubs just want to play and play and play, kind of pulling at his ears and his mane. And he's nowhere near as patient or as tolerant as the mothers, or one of your siblings for that matter, and sometimes can just take quite an aggressive paw and kind of shove them out of the way. Doesn't often dull their excitement, though. They might just pick another lion to go and irritate or play with, rather. I'm really hoping that this one's breathing quite quickly. I wonder if Mom didn't catch something small early this morning or even this afternoon. I wonder if something carelessly ran into this area. Particularly impala lambs, they're a few weeks old at this time, and you'll often see them running around, kind of stretching their legs and do a performance, almost what we call stotting, where they kick their back legs up and just showing how athletic they are. And you'll see it's quite entertaining, them running around, showing everyone how much they've grown and developed and how athletic they already are. So let's have a quick look at the mother. So I'm just going to reverse a little bit here. The bar is just in the way for BK to show you her. So let me reverse a tad. How's that, Beaks? Better. So I'm going to spend a bit of time here. I'm really hoping that these two little ones don't start to play around. In the meantime, I'm going to send you to Tristan with his awesome view of a leopard.
Well, while Dan is spending time with those lions, we're spending time with Kuchava's little son. He's just about to wake up, and he's been super cute. He was on his back and rolling around, and I think he forgot that we were here because I shifted in my seat, and he got the biggest fright ever. He kind of bolted upright as though something was approaching him. Meanwhile, it was nothing to do with him at all. He just forgot that we were here. But look at him. He's cool. I like all these young boys again. Is exciting to see. There's something about a male leopard that is extra special. There's also a hyena that's in front of me that's coming up this way. I'm sure it can smell the kill. So I'm going to go back towards where the kill is because that's where he's heading. But what a valuable kind of hour we got to spend with him. And you know, the other part that was kind of so nice is that because we were by ourselves here, there's no cars moving around. It was just quiet, valuable, quality time with a young male leopard. It wasn't great visual. It wasn't, mind-blowing from a behavioral point of view, but it was a great experience just from a kind of getting to spend time with him and for him to understand that we're not something that he needs to worry about. And you can see now the distance at which we will follow him is very different to how I would potentially follow Thandi or Kuchava. The idea is not to kind of reverse and regress now. It's to try and make him feel comfortable. And you can see by stopping a little bit further away, look, his behavior crossing the road is like a normal leopard. He's not hunching, he's not scurrying across the road. He's literally just walking and ambling nice and slowly and not really worried about our presence at all. Had we rushed up to him like you can with Thandi or Kuchava and moved closer to him, then you would have found that he would have probably run and he would have been very nervous and shy. And it's already a confusing kind of time for him. He knows that there's another leopard around. He's sniffing. You can see that's where Thandi was lying earlier with the elephant. So he's smelling around there. He's checking. And we don't need to complicate that any further. What we need to do is give him space, allow him to understand that even when he's in a situation like this, we're not going to get in his way and he's going to be perfectly fine and able to deal with things on his own, and we're not going to influence what's happening. But you see how he's smelling? He's sniffing exactly where she was lying, which is super interesting. Look at that camouflage now. Doesn't it look like, just looks like a termite mound, doesn't it? Under a bush. If that was dead still and you were kind of driving along at this distance and the road didn't go there, I mean, you wouldn't even think twice that that is a leopard. You would just kind of go past, especially when he doesn't move. It's almost impossible to pick up that there is a leopard sitting underneath that tree at the moment. Alright, I'm just going to move slightly. I'm not going to go too much closer. I just want to kind of get a slightly better angle on things. There's going to be a hyena that's going to disturb him shortly. It's coming from that side. You can saw it just kind of coming up. It's sniffing around everywhere, which is basically trying to find where this carcass is. How the guys actually found the carcass is that they saw a drag mark this morning going over the road. So there'll be a definite scent trail that will be left behind. All right, there we go. So when he was resting just now, we could be a little bit closer than what we are now. But like I say, now that he's trying to figure out what's happening and smell where Thandi has been lying, I don't want him to feel like he's boxed in or uncomfortable. I'd rather just give him the space that he needs to understand what's going on. And it's not like we don't have a perfect view of him anyway. He's kind of out in the open. Interestingly enough, it's his coloration is not quite as light as Thandi's cub, but definitely lighter than Mom, which is weird because it seems like, and this is a big if Mulawati is the dominant gene from the sort of paternal side or from the father's lineage, it's quite a trait that he must have, because generally this lineage has always been quite dark leopards. They have fairly golden colored coats, but he and Thandi's cub are very much lighter than a lot of the other leopards that we see from this particular lineage. They look quite similar too. Both of them have got big ears and have these kind of big wide eyes that look at you with these dark noses. For their ages, both have very dark noses. I wonder if he's going to phlegm and grimace for us while he's sniffing like that. There we go. His phlegm is grimacing, but he's just facing away from us, unfortunately. He's sniffing around there. Okay, we'll stay with him. We'll see what he gets up to. Like I said, there's potential for lots to happen still this evening. In the meantime, back to Dan and a mother lion.
Welcome back to And Beyond Ngala. We've had quite an interesting little show with this lioness, and we moved a little bit closer. One of the little ones is up on our right-hand side, BK. If you want to just quickly, super inquisitive, with a very full tummy, eh? And Mom is also, so is that little one, kind of moved around. There's a whole lot of zebra that are edging ever closer to these little cubs. I don't even know if you can see. Let's try and move back a tad here if I can. Edging ever closer that side. There's also a different herd coming through on our left-hand side, which Mom went into this crazy stalk. And then the zebras finally saw her and kind of pulled away. But the little cubs are still fascinated by these zebras that are edging closer. I mean, I don't think Mom's got nearly enough cover to pull off a successful hunt like this at this kind of distance, particularly with the zebras being so alert and aware. Light's still beautiful, hey? The zebras that got really close to Mom, or to the female lion. Let's see, these two cubs here, sorry BK, they've just got up and now they're starting to wrestle. Zebras are shouting at them. So I'm going to, look at these two playing. I'm going to send you over to Tristan at Juma while we watch these two play.
Just watched him. He's moving straight towards the kill, and we know Thandi is lying there already, which is not ideal. Mom is nowhere to be seen, so I'm just trying to go quite wide around where he is in order not to make him nervous or anything like that, and also to not be in the way. He's just on my right-hand side, slowly moving upwards towards where the kill is, and we know that Thandi, while she was lying exactly on the other side there, so I'm going to go around this way just to give us a little bit of space and to give him a bit of space, and also not to be between him and her anyway. We're not going to be going that way, I'm afraid. Have to go around. Roundleaf teaks are always a nasty bush because they have little hidden stumps in them that you can't see because of the nature of the leaves. Alright, so I'm going to park here. He's at the base of the tree already. So, Connie, we do, but I haven't seen any scat samples for him or for Thandi's cub, but then again, I haven't actually seen either of them go to the toilet. Now, where he is under the tree. We know that Thandi, when we last saw her, was very, very close. So I'm interested to see this interaction if he goes up. But just watch if he does. It should be pretty cool with that sunset that we've got. He's going to jump up now. There he goes. Now let's see if Thandi reacts, because him climbing, that noise should have woken her up if she's still here. She might have sneaked off while we've been sitting with him and decided she's not going to finish it up, but that would surprise me, given leopards very seldom pass up a free meal. You see how he's sniffing around. I think Thandi must have been up this tree at some point during the day today. I'm very surprised she hasn't arrived here. She must have left. Maybe she went back to her cub, thinking that these two had left. I don't know. She certainly hasn't made an appearance, and she hasn't come out of the bush that I thought she would, because she should be kind of directly behind where he's sniffing about now in the grass. But maybe she went for water. I don't know. I'm very, very, very surprised, though, that she hasn't made an appearance. Go up to your kill, come on. Isn't that beautiful with the sunset in the background? I mean, it's unfortunate that the sun is just gone down, but it's still pretty nonetheless. There's this beautiful marula tree and a leopard that's making climbing look supremely easy at this stage. Now, the carcass is a duiker carcass, but it's certainly not fresh. This must have been since yesterday that's been dead. It's not, wouldn't have been eaten that much overnight. So I suspect this was killed yesterday during the day, and they had it up a tree somewhere else and then dragged it this morning in this direction. It's quite cool silhouetted against that beautiful color sky, isn't it? I mean, bar the carcass, obviously. It's not exactly that pretty when you see a kind of pelvis and rib bones. But the leopard itself is pretty cool against those sunset colors. What are you doing? I think Thandi's moved. I wonder where Mom is as well. She hasn't even made an appearance with all this as well. I thought she would have come in because he's up the tree. Maybe she would have come back just to make sure that Thandi wasn't here. It seems like the two girls, unless they've kind of found each other again and have been, sort of trotting side by side like we saw a little bit this morning. Maybe that's what's happened and they're keeping each other busy. Oh no, there's Thandi. I can see her from here. I think it's Thandi. Look at that. Very nice. Very, very, very nice. It is absolutely beautiful. It's quintessential leopard in Africa right there, which is sunset and a leopard in a big tree. It's a pity that the tree's got so much foliage on it, because otherwise it would look a lot better. But it's definitely Thandi on the ground that I can see from here. She's just watching this male lying down. She's not actually moving or standing up. I wonder if she's already intimidated by his size. I'd be surprised though. I mean, he's still little and inexperienced, but I suppose he's got a bit of weight to him already, so maybe that's why. Or maybe they've just worked out who each other is and that this little male's not a threat to her, and so she's just going to leave him be. Even though he's inexperienced, maybe she's realized that a fight with him at his size could theoretically lead to some semblance of trouble, and he could be, could hurt her. Could be what it is, but I'm very surprised. This is unlike Thandi's general behavior. All the times that I've seen her with other leopards, she's been far more aggressive than what we've seen today. Maybe age is finally catching up a little bit. But the sky is on fire right now. It is absolutely beautiful. There's this ridiculous red glow that's now coming from the Drakensberg Mountains to the west. It really is pretty. This kind of color has gotten better and better as we've been sitting here. And I think actually it's a fine time just to listen to the last sounds of the day and to enjoy the view without me nattering on and on. Right, wasn't that special? That's a perfect way to watch the sun going down. I think absolutely magnificent. Anyway, we're going to send you off to Kyle. I'm sure we'll see what plays out here. Hopefully there won't be any aggression. It doesn't seem like there's going to be, which is great news.
We're enjoying some even-toed ungulates this side. Two majestic greater kudus. And these are two bulls. Busy browsing away, ever so slowly, which is lovely. We are currently in the area where this little den is, and we're just observing the surroundings, tapping ourselves in, and hopefully we get a sneak peek of this majestic and, at this point, very tiny little animal. Barking gecko starting to call, obviously with a little bit of cloud cover. It's gotten darker a little quicker than it should. And so those individuals have started to call out for mates. Obviously a typical sound of the Kalahari system. Watch on the right, watch on the right. Oh, wow. Wow, well done, Owen. Sure, sorry about the quick action there, shooting from the hip. That was a red-crested coron busy doing its display. Did you catch that? A little bit of it. What? We have been watching every bush and every core hunt to see if we can get that bird in display. Sorry about shooting from the hip there, folks, but that had to happen. That was a red-crested coron busy doing his display, so displaying for ladies in the area. Well done, Owen. And that was him flying vertically for about 30 meters, actually to his ascent, rolling to his back and then free falling all the way down. And then he kind of rotates back, opens up his wings, and then lands safely on the ground. But what a performance to show your dedication to the opposite sex. I mean, that is remarkable. The rocket display, at last, a little bit of it. So every time we see it, it happens in it doesn't happen in the right times as it happened now. Well done, Owen. Great. Wow. What a sight. Alrighty, so we are the kudu. Oh, we're going to send you over to Ngala very quickly where we have zebra running away from some lions.
Welcome back, everybody. And this little cub actually was the one that chased those zebra. It must be feeling incredibly proud of itself to be so small and chase such a big animal, particularly so many of them. I mean, I don't think it would quite be so confident if it didn't have the ever-watchful and ever-protectful eye of Mom right behind it. So we've sat here and we've heard those males, or that one male that we were with just from the other side of the river, roaring and calling. And this female has been replying. Listen. There's an impala alarm calling. So you'll see every now and then she stopped now. But if you listen carefully, she's softly calling, and that's almost like a vibration. Listen. The male's roaring from the other side of the riverbed now. Can you hear that lion roaring on the other side of the river? She certainly can. Let me move back a tad here. Look at the little ones. Aren't they so playful? It's almost like they just heard Dad roaring on the other side, and that little bit of excitement. I wonder if it's a safety thing. I wonder if they don't feel safer, or just lions. Now they're playing hide and seek behind the vehicle. This one's come out. Keep a watch on this one. The other one's kind of hiding behind a tree right behind the vehicle. I'm not going to move for now just because it might interrupt this playtime. So look how this one's kind of crouched right down into the ground, trying to be as hidden as it can. Here comes the other one. Oh, got distracted by the zebras. Watching, watch. Jeez, quite aggressive, huh? But you see how they go onto their back paws and they use their hands, almost like punching gloves. Let me move forward a tad as well. These little ones have kind of... Let me move back a little bit as well. Okay, you stay when, mate? Reverse a little bit. Let's try and find the best spot so we can... Oh, sorry. So if this isn't the right place, everyone, it's Beeks' fault, not mine. No, I'm just kidding. I want to try and get the right place so that we do have the full playground in view. Well, that being said, they might change now. But listen to the impalas. The zebras have kind of moved off completely, but the impalas are watching and shouting. Look at how their heads are up, their ears are pointed right in this direction, and they're watching. And these impalas are far away from us, but we can hear it loud and clear. When you're standing right next to them, particularly if there's a leopard or a lion that's walking quite close by, the volume that these impalas can shout and make this alarm call is quite amazing. It's amazing the irritation. These lions have got no chance of getting close to anything. Oh, it looked like she was going to do one of those soft contact calls again. It's amazing. Those two little cubs went into play mode for only a few seconds and kind of have lay back down, licking, grooming. Wonder if that roar just wasn't a little burst of excitement. I have a little itchy spot there. Oh, Cokie Franklin calling in the background. That's quite a special one. Oh, grabbing the big tummy and must have eaten something today. These two Birmingham little cubs, they're the youngest edition in the Pride, and look how well they're doing. Fully fed, not an injury or a scratch. Look at that mom, lying super proud. She's a first-time mom as well, which is quite incredible. I mean, lion cubs don't have the greatest survival rate, particularly when first-time mothers and inexperience get thrown into the equation. But this mom gave birth to these two cubs, and they've both survived and incredibly healthy, incredibly well. This lioness is an incredibly good hunter, and she spends a lot of time away from the Pride, but that means she gives these cubs extra attention, which is super important. I'm going to send you over to Tristan and the leopard gnawing on some bones.
Indeed, the leopard is gnawing on the bones. He was being a bit of a clown and going up and down with it and then dropped it and luckily got it back before hyenas got to it. He decided that he's not going to let it get to the floor, and so he managed to get it through. I'm just watching Thandi. She's sneaking off. She's heading away from us at the moment. She's not interested. She's going to go and do her own thing. It's fine. We'll leave her to do so. She's welcome to go and potentially sniff around. I'm pretty sure she's going to follow Kachava's scent. She knows there's nothing left here. This little male's going to finish up. There isn't really any quality food, bar a bit of skin and some legs. And then there's a hyena that's patiently waiting down below just to see if it can get any scraps. You'll see it over there. Hello. It's longingly looking up for any sign of meat that could potentially drop. But some guy's got it at least in a better spot now. He's able to actually eat while sitting, which is, he's going to make him a lot better off than what he was earlier when he was up at the top, because he was all over the place. Oh, there we go, there's a leg going. Hyena's going to eat that. That won't that last hyena 2 minutes. But there's literally nothing left of this. It's by the time we finish up tonight, I'm pretty sure they'll be completely finished. I don't think we'll see any sign of this kill by the time we end up leaving. Now, he has the jaws that are powerful enough, like this hyena, to break down these legs. Hyena will just do it faster and with more vigor. And I'll keep quiet while it's crunching on the bone. So you can see the difference in terms of eating style. That hyena has finished that leg already. There's probably a little scrap here and there, whereas this leopard has been up the tree for how long now? 15 minutes or so, and hasn't managed to even get through one leg yet. So you can see how much quicker the eating ratio is. Leopards take a lot longer. And like I said, this male at his size does have the ability to crack through leg bones of a small prey animal like this. It just takes him a little bit longer to be able to do it than what a hyena would take. And I'm not sure he's as fond of those bones as what the scavenging hyena is. I suspect that he prefers the meat more than he prefers those bony legs of a duiker. I wouldn't be surprised though another leg is going to fall at some point, and you'll find that even that little pelvis section, I expect that to be kind of hyena food too. So there's really very little. This little male will eat a little bit longer, and while these hyena are kind of circling at the bottom, he's going to stay up there. But as soon as that's all kind of done and wrapped and finished, and hyena wanders off, I'm pretty sure he's going to come down and try and go and look for mom. But good. It's as good a sighting as we could have asked for between this morning and this afternoon. One, because we obviously got a much needed view of Kachava and the cub. It's been a long time. Two, nothing crazy ended up happening between the females, which is again what we wanted. We got a bit of kind of insight into leopard's life, but no injury was had. And three, we ended up with the sunset with this leopard in a tree, which was just absolutely beautiful. And now we even have kind of leopard hyena behavior, which is kind of caps it all off. So we've had kind of leopard behavior and then inter-species behavior too, which is really cool. And the ellie, actually, I almost forgot about the ellie. The ellie made for a pretty spectacular start to the show, that's for sure. But he's gotten this carcass into such a tangle in this tree, and there's bits that are caught up in every little branch. It really is not easy for him to actually feed off it properly now. So, Bobby, not all bones. Some will battle to digest, and so what you'll find is often a leopard, if it's struggling to digest hair and bone, and lions do it too, is they often start to eat grass a little bit, and that grass can trigger them to start just getting sick a little bit, and they'll regurgitate hair and bone that they're battling to digest. In the hyena's case, their stomach is a little bit stronger in terms of their constitution, but they too will also cough up bony kind of balls of fur and bone sometimes, but they are able to digest more than what, let's say, a leopard would be able to digest. So little bones, yes. Big bones, no. Sometimes even in their scat, you'll actually see the bones still in the scat itself. They haven't broken down quick enough. So they don't really get much from the bone itself, bar the marrow that's inside, which is full of nutrients. But otherwise, there's not too much. Oh, there goes most of it. Silly boy. All right. Well, I'll sit with him. I'm sure he's going to come down. Hopefully Mom will arrive and we can follow them a little bit into the night.
Well, we have located one individual bat-eared fox and it is just sitting on just behind the brush of that velvet raisin bush. There it's slowly moving. And this is the spot where they have these little pups, and fingers crossed we can get a little view of these beautiful little animals. Also just enjoying the sights and the sounds. Afternoon just tapering down. The individuals are busy calling there. Wow. So the barking geckos are in full chorus at the moment. So just to the right of you, this bare patch of soil is where this little den site is. And it's remarkable that it's so close to the road, and we can just enjoy close viewing of this animal. The sky is looking beautiful, sounds around us, it's cooling down quite nicely, there's a gentle breeze. There the individuals are calling against that very funny, almost like laughing. Oh, there's a pup. Welcome back to And Beyond Ngala, everybody. Now, the male has just roared, and the last time, remember, after he roared, these two little cubs got up and played a little bit. I think their attention actually is on the zebra in the background that are moving past. Keeping an ever watchful eye, though, hey? You see how that zebra is watching? We're pretty much directly in line with the lions. And that's exactly what it looks like, it's looking right at us. Watching carefully and closely, both lion and zebra watch. Oh, lion not so interested. Big rollover. That's the first kind of major sign of movement that we've seen from her this afternoon. Aside from her popping her head up and listening to the male roar, that's about it. So you can even see her teats at the back there. These cubs will still be suckling. I mean, it's getting right to the end of their weaning process, about 8 or 9 months. They should be fully weaned. And they're sitting at about 7 or 8 months old now. So it's getting close to that time. And you'll see what we've got on here is an infrared camera. And particularly with the age of these cubs, it's starting to get dark now. We don't put a spotlight on them. And the reason for that is to be extra sensitive towards them. So what we have here is an incredible piece of technology, an infrared camera, which has got no light and gives us this picture from here without disturbing them in any way. And one of the reasons that we don't shine a spotlight on them is that we bring unnecessary attention towards them. And one of the And Beyond rules is that we wait till they're about 12 months old or a year until we start spotlighting them and actually viewing them without the mother. So, I mean, mom will often leave these two little cubs in an area for days. Now they're a bit older, even a week or so, maybe even longer, while she goes out and hunts. And then she'll come back and collect them and take them to a carcass. They are getting to the age where they're going to start like spending most of their time with the pride. They're getting big enough and strong enough so that they can actually keep up with the rest of the pride as they start to move. The past few months has been a bit tricky. They've been a bit small, and if the pride is covering a large distance, it's a bit tricky for them. And if they start to fall too far behind, then mom doesn't remember where she's exactly left them, and that'll put pressure on them, and they'll be extra stressed as well. And that will make them incredibly vulnerable to predation. I mean, now the odds have fallen in the lion's favor. It's starting to get dark. People, those zebra, impalas, they're all going to go and try and find a safer spot to spend the rest of the evening. I mean, our eyes are nowhere near as well adapted as these lions to seeing in the darkness. I mean, it's to do with the rods and cones in their eyes. And that absorbs, they've got the far more
rods in their eyes, so they take more light in rather than cones which take in color. We've got a lot more cones, and the rods in their eyes allow them to have this incredible night vision. Look at them playing, hey, starting to wake up. I wonder if they're not going to go over to Mom and kind of coax her into waking up, almost like an impatient child saying, Mom, I'm ready to go. Okay, they're going straight over to Mom. Mom's, oh, listen to that. It's kind of exactly what that little one did, eh? Kind of got up. Mom saw it coming from a mile away, maybe a meter, but now this one's getting a bit jealous, might go over and join. Look at her rolling over again, starting to wake up. See how that one copied Mom almost exactly, just rolling over the other way. Now Mom's kind of given her back, like a plant to play with. Just trying to see if Mom's maybe put her head back around. Incredibly playful, huh? Good Mom there, stretching. Let's see what happens here. I mean, maybe this one closest to us is going to get a little bit jealous of the other one that got that attention, might get up, walk past the one in the middle, maybe rub its head up against there, then go towards Mom and do the similar thing, kind of encourage her to get up and move around. Licking, grooming, cleaning, also signs of them getting active. See? Too impatient to wait for Mom to wake up, so pick on your sibling. But this time of play is so important to them as well. I mean, we saw earlier how they were jumping up on back legs, using their paws to almost defend themselves. It was a play fight, but it was a serious play fight, whereas this is more gentle and grooming. But still super important to kind of fill into your place in the dynamics of a lion pride. Particularly when you start moving around with them almost permanently. Super important. Ron, these are two of the cutest cubs around at the moment. They're definitely our youngest cubs, or from the Birmingham Pride at least. There might be some younger cubs that we don't know about. There is a female in the Birmingham Pride who is about to give birth. I saw her 2-3 days ago. She was looking incredibly pregnant. She was even making her way, almost spending time in the riverbed. And these lions are notorious for giving birth in this riverbed, in the Tomboti riverbed. Even these two cubs were born in the riverbed. So I wonder if we're not going to start to see some brand new tiny lions. Mom will keep them incredibly well hidden for the first few months, particularly when they're blind and deaf and are actually pretty useless once they're born. So Mom has to be very good at the place that she picks and good at hiding them. So I'm going to stick around here, see if these two don't continue to play. There's another impala alarm call. I'm going to send you over to Tristan with his leopard one more time.
Well, hopefully they will. Unfortunately, our little cub has dropped everything. Hyena has taken it all, and so now there is nothing left anymore, I'm afraid. And I'm afraid he's going to now have to come down the tree. And we'll see if we can kind of keep up with him as he comes down. I'm interested to see how he is now that it's night time, whether or not he's going to be more relaxed with us, less relaxed with us, whether or not he's going to kind of just be the same. I don't know, we'll see. Obviously it's quite dark now, so we are in infrared as well. We'll try to see if we can kind of see where he goes. I'm obviously struggling to see myself, so while we don't use spotlights when we have static sightings, obviously when things are mobile, it's a little bit more tricky because I need to actually be able to see where I'm going and where I need to be. And while I do that, it sounds like Tishala has got some rosettes of her own.
that are not working.
I do have some rosettes of our own. It's Tingana. And he's on Mvubu Road moving towards the dam. So you might see him on the dam camera very, very soon. You can see we're also in IR. That spotlight does not belong to us. And he's walking along the road. Now, like I said, it's a narrow road. So what we tend to do is kind of like frog hop it or leapfrog it. Now the other vehicle will go ahead. Sorry about that, guys, but I'm sure those people were really excited that they could be on TV. And there he goes. So he's walking towards the dam. And I hope that we'll be able to see him, or continue to see him. And luckily he's not a missioning cat. Anyway, let me send you over to Ngala with their sleepy lions.
Geez, Trishala, I wish you the best of luck in that search and relocation. It can be quite tricky when it's getting to darkness. But have a look at these three. They've kind of all gone flat back down and resting. Oh, there's one that's popped its head up again. The male lion hasn't roared in quite some time, actually. But the little ones are still, I mean, they've got this excess energy that they need to, or that they don't need to burn off, but they feel like they need to. And I mean, they're trying to eat as much as they can. And for their body weights they're still consuming protein-rich milk and eating meat. And we saw how big their tummies were. They've certainly eaten something in the past few hours. I reckon maybe Mom caught an impala lamb and gave these two a little bit of it. And just because of their body size and all the food that they're getting, obviously they are growing incredibly quickly. But this gives them an excess energy compared to Mom. So they will start to move around a little bit earlier. Keeping an ever watchful eye. Ashen, what different types of calls do lions make? So the obvious one that I'm sure you all know very well, particularly if you were watching the show about an hour and a half ago, was that big, strong roar. And that was from that male lion. So that's the most loud and most presence, or bringing awareness to where that lion is. The loudest one that'll carry the furthest. That's probably the easiest way to describe it. And while we were sitting there, he was roaring. And when he stopped, there was a soft contact call that came from the other side of the riverbed, which actually brought us to the attention of this mother and her two little ones. And even now, since we've been sitting here, when that male roared, oftentimes when this female would softly contact call, and it's almost like a vibration that gets sent through the ground, as well as this very low call. And that's almost her reply. Females can roar incredibly loudly as well if they wanted to. Then you get these little babies. So these cubs that we're watching here, particularly when they're a little bit younger, they've got these high-pitched squeaks that they make. And that might be when trying to call Mom or trying to push another cub out of the way when suckling. Got these incredibly high-pitched squeaks, which you can hear very closely, very different to the low, loud call when they get much older. And then there's types of growling as well. Around carcasses, you'll see when another lion growls and snarls and shows its teeth and even sometimes bites another one. That's another form of a kind of call that they make. They've got lots of different calls that they can make, different pitches, different vibrations, different volumes, all of which are a great way to communicate with one another, particularly if you've got such good hearing like lions do. Much greater than ours. Listen again, that lion's roaring. So I don't know if you can hear that. It sounded quite faint, in fact. And I wonder if that male hasn't got up and moved a little bit, in fact. But you see how that didn't even get the attention of these lions at all, the ones that are lying down here. I wonder if he's not got up and moved away, in fact. I'm going to send you over to Tingana at Djuma.
Tingana is firstly staying still for more than a few seconds, and he sees something interesting. I saw a few eyes popping out in the darkness. He's very, very close to the dam. And he's just on the northern end of the dam, very close to the lodge. He'll come from the lodge side. Now he's sitting and watching. I don't know what the animal was that I saw. I just saw the flash of eyes in the distance. But he clearly saw dinner. He is oh, there we go. Now he's taking this seriously. Somebody's hungry. He's looking in fantastic condition every single time I see him. I think he is a gorgeous, really, really good condition male leopard. What a guy, Tingana. Look at his muscles. He's he has been more built up and muscly in the past, but still his muscles are in excellent condition. You can see just how bulky he is. Can you hear the guinea fowl alarming in the distance? Well, not incredibly far away, but on the other side of the dam. Now he will sit here patiently. The thing is, between him and where those other animals are, I mean, they're most likely some sort of antelopes. There's quite a gap in the cover. So he'll need to go very hard and fast for a bit of a gap, and that's also where it's very, very sandy. So it'd be difficult to sprint. So let's see what his plan is. Paul, you'd like to know how old Tingana is? After much conversation and deliberations based on the way he looks, because based on the notes, he's 14. But based on the way he looks, we think he could be anywhere between 12 and 14. And that's because we don't know when he was born. We only know when he was first seen. So he's doing very well, regardless of whether he's 14 or whether he's 12. He's in excellent condition, because the lifespan of a leopard usually is between 13 and 15, although that's different in captivity. It's a little bit longer. So to be in this kind of condition is pretty good. In fact, it's excellent. Patience, pants is on. But you know that moment when something is imminent. is when they really go very low and they start to do that almost on the ground run. And they're so light and so quiet. So it's exactly this type of situation that infrared is perfect for, because we can't bring any attention to the animal this way. We're pretty much dark, which means that he gets every natural opportunity to get whatever prey he's after. Anyway, I'm going to see how this unfolds. I'm going to send you over to Tswalu and Kyle, where they still have some light.
And a beautiful light it is. It is absolutely stunning at this point in time. This is what we've been waiting for, to be able to share this with you folks. The sunsets here at Tswalu are some of the most breathtaking I've seen in my career and in my life. There's just something about the light, this late afternoon coolness, and the way the light licks and almost sun kisses the dunes and the mountains is just remarkable. And I think with this cloud cover this evening, we are going to have a stunner. So you folks better strap in and strap in tight, because we're going to blow the lid off this party. Unbelievable. See how it's already starting to change. And the barking geckos are at full tilt now. We've just moved slightly back from this den site. The adults are meandering around here. Just give them a bit of a space, and we thought that we would just share a moment with you. Unbelievable. And clouds really do make sunsets more creative. All the mass in the atmosphere. And you can see how the shadows slowly starting to creep up the dune itself. Chef Lady, it is stunning out here right now. Nice, cool feeling, slight movement of air, just a cascade of sounds around us, and then that beautiful view. There's a slight earthy smell to this evening as well. It's just one of those moments which are priceless and perfect. Everybody can take a nice deep breath, just soak this all in. But how quick this light is going down, I think we'll leave this little patted fox den. We obviously don't want to disturb them, but we want to become friends. So the next few days we'll be visiting this little site, and hopefully we can catch a glimpse of this little individual. Oryx busy cresting on top of the dune there now. Well, from here we're going to send you over to Dan very shortly with the wildebeest in the night.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, I just want to take a moment to have a look at this. It's not often you get to look at the general game. Some zebras there in the background under the cover of darkness. Because we usually use a light and they become incredibly vulnerable when you do shine a light, and it's to do with their eyes readjusting to the darkness. I'm taking this advantage to just show you how many general game species are around. Lots of zebra, lots of impala. There's a baby wildebeest that's just come into the picture. Have a look at them moving around. Impalas. That wildebeest looks like she's quite pregnant as well, might be dropping in the next few days. Lots of impalas in the back there. As we keep going, you'll see there's just more and more animals around. And one of the reasons that they'll pick this kind of area is it's open. And being open, it gives them a real good chance at seeing danger that comes from a distance. Particularly those lions, they're not far away at all. But when they spend time in these open areas, they can see, particularly with so many eyes and ears and noses around in this open area from the different species, such as your impalas and zebras and wildebeest, they've got a really good chance at spotting potential danger. And once one animal in this group, it's difficult in the dark, but once one animal in this group spots a predator, we heard all those alarm calls earlier, that one alarm call will sound the alarm and all of them will react. They'll all be on a super high alert. And pretty much once one animal sees something, it's pretty much game over. I'm sure the lions will move around unless they've set a trap, unless the rest of the pride is kind of hunting, and they almost use a few to distract these animals and almost chase them into the rest of the pride that are lying in wait. I'm sure these are the zebras that were walking past those impalas earlier. And lions, sorry. Maple pie, how far can I see? I can see the road on either side of me. That's how dark it is. So turning off IR, that's how dark. Can you see me? I'm in full picture at the moment, actually even waving at you. And if you can't see that, that's how much I can see. Let me show you how close I am quickly. Let's turn this light on, but not get too blinded. Jeez, blinded officially. But that's how close I am. Then you turn the light off and I'm gone. So very, very dark. I don't know if you've got the picture here. Now we turn back to IR with no light. What an awesome piece of technology. I mean, just to watch these impalas and look at those little lambs doing exactly what they did or would do if we weren't here is amazing. I mean, normally if I were to have to see them, I'd have to have a spotlight, and you see them react to that. It also kind of illuminates them to whatever's around, and that puts them in danger. And yeah, so that's why we don't use a spotlight. But I'm going to send you over to Carl and his burning sky in the Kalahari.
Well, things are just getting better and better this side. And I totally respect Dan's decision and why we don't use a spotlight. Just going to try and reposition us on a very beautiful scene. We've got a sable bull. It's on the dune crest, and we've got the setting sun. Huh? Oh, look at that. Good evening. And while we bid the sun farewell and thank it for all of its free energy, what a scene it is putting on for us this afternoon here at Tswalu. So if you guys can fasten the seatbelts, make sure the socks are pulled up, because your socks are going to be blown off. Because this sky is going to change into a very dramatic scene in the next 5-10 minutes. You can already see the illumination of the clouds on the left there of that sable. Things are going to look just too pretty. Oh, wow. Look behind us. Look at the colors. Wow. Let's go back a bit. I'm just going to try and sneak us back a little bit, folks. David, really nice comment there. Good evening. It is just too perfect. I'm just going to scoot us back a tiny bit. Of course, we're going to save the ball. Wow, look at that. And what we're going to do after the saber ball leaves us, we're actually going to scoot to the top of this dune crest. We're right alongside a dune. And we're going to position ourselves up there, and we are going to appreciate, whoa, all of this magnificentness going on around us. Yum, yum. Obviously this late evening, early evening grazing is a very efficient time for animals to move. It's a lot cooler for them. They don't have to be expending so much energy to keep cool. And it's just better. I mean, you operating midday or you operating in the cooler parts of the afternoon is obviously chalk and cheese. Okay, he has moved off a bit. We're just going to scoot up ever so slightly. Owen's going to give us a... Sure, how perfect is that? Okay, so let's leave here. Let's scoot up to the dune here, Owen. Let's show everybody how beautiful this place really is. So from magic on our western side to absolutely breathtaking to our east. Take a look at this. So we're just going to go to the top of this dune crest here, and this is where we're going to park Cheesy. And we are going to enjoy all of this. I mean, look at that. That's one rule that guides have over here in Tswalu, is that we're not allowed to crest over dunes where there is no cut line. We are currently on a cut line. Oh, it is just too magical here, folks. Look at this. Unbelievable. Owen giving us a very beautiful view of the magic of Tswalu. And if you want to talk about vastness, this is where the true essence of Tswalu comes out. Truly open. I think I was just going to do a little maneuver for us. So if everybody can just hold on 2 minutes, look at this. Okay, another little movement. You guys can follow me this way. Follow me this way. We've got a few cables in the vehicle that makes a little bit of a challenge for Owen. Look at this. And that is magical.
Wild Earth is launching our brand new Explorer program with an opportunity to win a very special Wild Earth expedition. The lucky winner will get a behind-the-scenes Wild Earth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala Tainted Safari Camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend with a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse. Become a Wild Earth Explorer and stand a chance to win this and many other prizes. Terms and conditions apply.
Join us around the fire as we have our very first Wild Earth Explorers Fireside Chat.
And what that means is that if you are an explorer, we're inviting you to come and join us so we can chat about the greatest highlights of 2020.
We will be chatting about our favorite characters and what they have been up to during the course of this year.
And if you would like to join us, head over to our Explorers page and subscribe. Don't miss out. This Fireside Chat will be on the 13th of December at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time, straight after Sunset Safari.
Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name engraved on her so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Djuma. If you become a Wild Earth Explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting.
Hello, boy. You are a monster. And he's coming right up to us. Hello, boy. Oh, settle down. Settle down. He is very, very close. He's pushing his trunk against the car. You can feel the car moving. Hey, 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 hey. Stop that.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth Daily.
Absolutely breathtaking. There are countless times that myself and Tswalu where we have sat just on dunes like this with people from all over the world, and it is such a gift and such a privilege, truly a privilege, to share an experience like this, because it's moments like this that truly make us believe and make us understand that we are connected to this planet. I mean, if anybody is not in awe right now, I don't know, no words. And what a privilege you can be here with us. It is just happening from east to west. Obviously, the way that the light is illuminating through the atmosphere now and is touching these clouds is just absolutely breathtaking. I think Owen's going to do us a little rotation there quickly again. The best sunset so far. Wait for this. Look at that. We've got one or two cables in our vehicle that makes it a little bit challenging for Owen, but he has dealt with it. He's done a sterling job. Sure. Well, it's been absolutely magical to be able to share this with you, and I'm so happy that we have got this period to be able to show you guys the true beauty of Tswalu. From my side and from my colleagues, we can't thank you enough for tuning in. Thank you for all the questions and comments. It's been absolutely magical. Please make sure you join us tomorrow for the sun.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Perfect way to start a safari is with a plethora of animals, and as you can see, there's wildebeest and talas and even a few baboons that are shouting.